ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And welcome into the Tuesday edition of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions. Right here, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And boy, do we have a lot to get into today. Joe Rexrode, lots to talk about today here on the program. How we doing? What's going on?
Doing all right, yeah. What an interesting evening in sports.
It was.
Monday was.
A very interesting evening in sports. Michelle Knezovic, what's going on? How we doing?
Doing good today. Went to bed at about 8:30 last night.
That's how it's done.
Feeling great. Feeling great this morning.
I did the same thing.
I'm jealous. I stayed up for the entire freaking game. It was so good. It was a contrast last night.
Yeah.
It was, honestly, I saw absolute greatness last night. I want to see Lamar Jackson's performance put into perspective, put into context. I think it's one of the great performances I've seen. Also, the Colts utterly just maybe blew their season right there. So
yeah.
Good for the Titans. Meanwhile, during the game, of course, John Gruden resigns as head coach of the Raiders, and this will be the story in sports today and
it will be.
Probably for a while. It just, man, just out of nowhere.
What a night. Yeah, we'll get to the Gruden stuff here in just a couple of minutes. Ravens win 31-25 last night. Lamar Jackson, 37 of 43, 442 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns, 14 carries, 62 yards on the ground as well. So over 500 yards of offense from Lamar Jackson last night, and they get it done in overtime against the Colts, outscoring the Colts in the last 2 quarters, which means the fourth quarter in overtime, 22-3.
Yeah,
outscoring the Colts.
No, it was domination. I mean, the Colts were dominating them. I don't think the Ravens are that good. Like, as I watch them a fair amount this season, they're 4-1. I don't think they're a 4-1 team, but they have that guy who, it's funny with Lamar Jackson. Yeah, so 37-43, 442 and 4. And I think he's the first quarterback ever to have 400 yards passing, no picks, and 50+ yards rushing in a game in NFL history.
Yeah.
He is carrying them. There's been all this talk about his contract and stuff, and is Lamar Jackson worth Mahomes' money? Yeah. He's gotten so much better at when needed and when the defense forces it, hanging in the pocket and making tough throws into tight windows. He did it over and over again last night, along with all the other stuff he does. It was amazing.
It was amazing, and now, speaking of amazing, let's read the AFC South standings. Tennessee Titans at 3-2, the Houston Texans at 1-4, the Colts at 1-4, and the Jags at 0-5. Baby, Titans sitting pretty in the AFC South.
So you can be really not that good, which is what the Titans have been, and be running away with the division. Look, the Colts last night. We'll see if they, long season, and I'm not. In all seriousness, I don't think that they're just gonna, throw in the towel. But that's a killer, because Carson Wentz now is moving around. And Carson, he looked pretty good last night. He was furious. They were driving to just put the game away, so they're up 8. And Frank Reich went super conservative.
Yep.
And said, put it in Rodrigo's hands. They're going for a field goal. I forget the exact distance, but it's a mid-range field goal. Just kind of ran the ball. Wentz is you could see him come up he wanted to just go score a touchdown. Just let's end this thing. But it would have ended if Blankenship makes that field goal. Instead, Calais Campbell, incredible play to bust through and block the field goal, and then Lamar Jackson takes over the game from there. But they're starting to look like a good team. They're starting to look like a dangerous team with Wentz running around, and their D looked good most of the night. You can't deal with that guy when he gets going like that. I'm not convinced it's completely over, but boy, that's a big result in the race.
It's a big result in the race, and now I guess the schedule starts to lighten up a little bit for the Colts. You do have the Texans coming up on Sunday, and then the Niners. And the Niners, We'll see if Jimmy G is back or if Trey Lance is still the QB then. And then the Titans, the Jets, the Jags, and the Bills upcoming for the Colts. So a little bit of a lighter schedule outside of, obviously, the Titans and the
Jets.
Bills.
Watch out for those Jets.
You have to watch out for those Jets.
They'll get you, man. They'll
They
get
will.
you.
That is true. So let's get into the John Gruden stuff because, as you mentioned, last night, as the Monday Night Football game is coming on and as it continues to go through, that is becoming the biggest story in sports. And this began over the weekend. As it came out over the weekend, I guess from an investigation they're doing on the Washington football team, and they've looked at emails. And in the emails, John Gruden was, I guess, I don't even know the right way to describe it. It was just awful comments he had on DeMaurice Smith that were racially incendiary comments in emails, and that was the big story over the weekend for Gruden, and his players were asked about it after the game, and, Josh Jacobs talked about it, Derek Carr, among others, saying, yeah, those emails are bad, and, he's not displayed any behavior like that here. And I wondered, okay, is this going to be something that continues to stick with Gruden? Is this going to be something that he's going to be able to overcome? Not to mention, the Raiders were awful on Sunday against the Bears, and I wondered how much this kind of played into that in terms of a distraction. You never really know how much that affects the product on the field. But, man, were they bad on Sunday against the Bears. And then the New York Times last night comes out with a report that it wasn't just the racist comments that he had. There were some homophobic comments and misogynistic remarks with emails, really, including Roger Goodell, which said words that we cannot repeat here on this radio station. Just lots of incendiary, truly awful stuff from John Gruden coming out in emails. And here we are. Mark Davis goes and meets with him yesterday. John Gruden resigns, and he is no longer the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Rexrode, I think we'll start with just your reaction to this entire thing and the way it unfolded last night as Monday Night Football is going on.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to go with this. So he called Goodell the gay slur that starts with an F.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff in there, including like women being officials,
yep.
and I mean, it's just on and on and on. It was just like the ramblings of an old bigot. I mean, it's really what it was. And I know it was a long time ago, and this is a weird situation. I mean, this is an investigation of Washington. This is just emails when he was with ESPN with Bruce Allen.
Yep.
I guess his buddy. I don't know. I mean, he employed his brother, of course, as a Washington coach. Just ranting about stuff, personal emails. But I mean, look, you can't continue in that job with this stuff. I mean, do I think that this is some isolated mindset in the NFL? No. In society? No, not really. But you can't continue, in that job after this stuff comes out. I mean, that's clear and obvious. I mean, another thing here is the history of the Raiders. It's actually really interesting, and I don't know how many people know this. So Marcus Thompson, who's probably our best writer at The Athletic, I would say, he wrote a column. Of course, he's out in the Bay Area, and I'm gonna go through a little bit of this. Al Davis. For people who don't know, I mean, Al Davis is known as like the tough guy. The Raiders and commitment to excellence, and he's just
win, baby.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Al Davis was absolutely a trailblazer in the NFL. He wouldn't play in Mobile, Alabama in '63 because of state segregation laws. Art Shell, first black coach in the NFL. Amy Trask, first female executive in the NFL. Tom Flores, second Latino head coach in the NFL. And then Carl Nassib, by the way, is the first openly gay player in the NFL. And it's interesting because it really hasn't been talked about this.
Yeah.
See, I mean, it's. I think we've made strides, right? Like, it was a big story when he announced it. It's very important, that someone like that. I think the Michael Sam thing, a lot of people weren't ready for that. And frankly, Michael Sam was a fringe player. I mean, and by the way, Gruden ranted about that and about Jeff Fisher.
That was in the email.
So he's playing for the Raiders now. I mean, that's their tradition is like inclusion, diversity, and actually being ahead of the game and blazing a trail. And that's Al Davis. And so now you have this. I mean, yeah. Not that it would be any other franchise would be different, but it's such a contrast with this crap. And so like if you're Carl Nassib, who's been really good this year, like how do you keep playing for this guy?
Yeah.
I mean, and not to mention, again, the DeMaurice Smith stuff. I mean, it's a racist trope about his lips. I mean, it's like you're telling me that John Gruden can lead a locker room, a diverse locker room after that? I think it was already going to be real rough for him, and then boom, it's over.
And it was interesting because over the weekend, there had not been really anything from the player side of things that had come out publicly that were just really heavily against John Gruden. I mean, Josh Jacobs talked about it and said, I can base it on what I've seen from him. I've not seen any of that behavior from him. It was essentially what Josh Jacobs said. So it wasn't like the players over the weekend were coming out and saying things publicly. Now, that doesn't mean that players in that locker room were all on board with John Gruden, and especially when this comes out last night, pretty difficult to see how he was going to end up continuing to be the head coach of the Raiders. And John Gruden released a statement last night, says, quote, "I have resigned as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. I love the Raiders and do not want to be a distraction. Thank you to all the players, coaches, staffs, and fans of Raider Nation. I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt anyone," end quote, on the release statement from John Gruden there. And that last part, the "I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt anyone," people are running off of that one today. We heard Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max talking about it before we got on the air, and it's a bad spot for John Gruden to be in right now. And again, these emails came out in 2011. I believe he was with ESPN at the time when the emails were sent, and this was started as an investigation into the Washington football team, and it's kind of diverted into John Gruden now.
Well, and then that's another whole. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time that this investigation's been going on with nothing.
Yeah.
And well, I shouldn't say with nothing. I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of stuff about the organization and Dan Snyder, and you talk about a bad culture.
Yeah.
And just a lot of rough stuff that I think will probably come out, but in the meantime, it's just this part of it just comes out and becomes a big thing. It's peculiar, and I'm very interested to see where it goes from there. I mean, it almost reads to me like the NFL's like, well, let's get rid of this guy, So I don't know. That's a weird aspect of this story, but yeah. Now John Gruden. I don't know. I mean, I can see. In fact, Caroline Fenton already tweeted out the message board LSU hire John Gruden right now. I mean, I don't think it took any sort of football coach people think can win for them. I mean, we know Vols fans have coveted Gruden for a long time. There's gonna be some kind of interest, but I don't know how he can keep. I don't know how he can have a public job now.
It's going to be difficult. We'll continue the discussion on John Gruden when we come back. Take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in all day Thursday as we get you set for the Nashville Predators season opener against the Seattle Kraken. We'll be giving away tickets to the opener every single hour throughout the day and unveil a special programming announcement at 8:30 during Robby and Rexrode. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Sip and save at Circle K. Enjoy one coffee or fountain drink every day for only $5.99 a month. Sign up in-store.
The 2021 Major League Soccer season isn't over yet, Nashville. Are you in? There are just 2 regular season home matches remaining as we make our final push for a playoff spot. Don't miss the action on Wednesday, October 20th at 7:30 p.m. against the Columbus Crew. Or catch the last regular season match of the season on Sunday, November 7th at 2:30 p.m. against New York Red Bulls at Nissan Stadium. Come be a part of the most unique sports experience in Nashville. Tickets are on sale now from just $22 at NashvilleSC.com. Everyone in.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're gonna get paid. You need a sportsbook that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. And they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BET-US. I play at BET-US, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com.
Up to 200% sign-up bonus. Support the station and use code GAME.
Tell them SAP sent you.
Sail on into Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use. Only down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
With Fundbox, you can stop waiting and start doing. If your small business needs funds to grow, the time is now. Fundbox offers fast, easy access to small business funding up to $150,000. So hire that new employee, launch that campaign, buy that piece of equipment. Apply in minutes at fundbox.com, and you could get funding as soon as the next business day. Fundbox. Ready, set, grow. Credit line amounts, rates, and terms are based on creditworthiness and subject to change. Additional documentation may be required.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube today and every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Chris texting in. Urban Meyer, the big winner in the Gruden situation. The spotlight off him for a bit. I would say definitely so. Nobody's talking about Urban Meyer anymore.
Yeah, this is true. Take for a little bit. Then he's back in London this weekend, and we can see how that goes. But the focus is on Chucky now.
So if you missed it last night, John Gruden resigning as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders after multiple different emails with Bruce Allen coming out from his time at ESPN and a bunch of different just awful remarks from John Gruden in those emails. He is no longer the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. And I guess my question is, like, is there some sort of settlement that he's going to reach? Like, he signed the 10-year contract, which was just amazing when they signed him to that contract. And I think he had like $66 million left on the deal. So I'm interested. Like, he went away and obviously resigned last night. My guess is, and I don't know this, I could be wrong, but my guess is he's probably not resigning if he's not getting some money out of this. So I'd be interested to know, and I wonder if this will come out, how much money he's getting paid to resign.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come out, and I'm sure it's probably – I'm sure there's something that he and Mark Davis worked out. I mean, Mark, he was Mark Davis's white whale, just like he's the Vols' white whale before all this. Which, take it apart from the fact that he's a ranting bigot, but gosh, he's disappointing as a coach too, right? I mean, was it really worth all this? I mean, I think they were headed for about a 9-8 season. Yeah, but. I would
fringe playoff team, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would guess that that there's got to be okay, I'll resign. How about like 30 mil of it? And there's going to be a lot of there already was. I mean, even with before the New York Times thing came out yesterday, there was a lot of immediate jumping to like what he said wasn't racist, which again, it's like if you don't know that, please just shut up. But there's going to be a lot of that stuff today too. But the bottom line is, it's how it affects the people he's talking about. So if you're not in one of those groups, you shouldn't comment on it.
Now, John Gruden, we'll see what happens with him. I mean, to your point, like, he's not getting another NFL job at this point. I guess college football maybe could be on the table, but I just don't see it. Like, I don't know. Like, how old is John Gruden?
He's in his 50s.
Okay, so age not that big of a factor, but I just don't see that. I don't see that he's getting a big-time college football job.
I mean, look, we still hear, like, about Art Briles.
Yeah.
I mean, if he – here's the thing. Whether he does or not, like, this is actually an opportunity. Like, if John Gruden wanted to be really open and honest about this, well, first of all, he could say, and he could be accurate and say, the thoughts that I expressed there are not that rare in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, he could say that. Now, of course, no one wants to hear that out of his mouth. But what I'd like to hear is, look, I mean, I was wrong, and I need to, like, actually, like, look inside myself and actually try to learn things and learn to accept people in the world. And maybe if he earnestly goes about that, which I know would just be perceived as a PR campaign, which Art Briles has tried to do too. I mean, Art Briles has tried to do some media stuff and express remorse, even though he still struggled to actually express any remorse because he still thinks he did nothing wrong.
Correct.
Would that down the road, open the door for him to get like Coach Liberty or something? Like, I'm just immediately thinking of Liberty. Once Hugh Freeze takes the Vols job,
Yes.
I don't know. I wouldn't completely rule it out, but I mean, at this point, he should be nuclear for anyone thinking about hiring a coach.
Well, there was a lot of response on Vol Twitter last night. Maybe the Vols dodging a bullet with John Gruden. Certainly, can you imagine if he's the Vols coach right now and this came out?
And what would happen? I mean, he'd have to resign.
Yeah.
My goodness, imagine this show today.
Oh God.
If that,
I don't know that I can imagine this show today. If that
happens.
He'd
be 3-time defending national champions.
Well,
everybody would be able to handle it better.
So. I guess when would he have taken the Vols job? Would that have been before Butch or before Pruitt? Which one? Because there was a campaign for him for both.
Well, when was he ever a candidate?
He was never really a candidate, I don't think. But there was a big push for him twice.
Well, yeah, like the Calhoun's thing.
Yeah.
So
I think that was 17, right?
Yeah. So at some point this week, we'll have to get either Ubben or Auer back on the line about their story, which I learned a ton from, which I didn't think there was anything else to learn about that search. But some of it was sort of the misdirection of Gruden. So he never really was. I mean, people reached out to him, right?
I'm sure they
people
did.
reached out to him, but yeah, that was never a thing. So there you go. It sometimes it works out better for you.
Now, I guess now if you're a player in the Raiders locker room, what's today like for you? Obviously, they promoted their special teams coach to now be the interim head coach, and my guess is he'll just be the interim head coach the rest of the year, and then they'll go find another coach at some point. But you're 3-2. You've lost 2 games in a row. You played awful on Sunday against the Chicago Bears, and now your coach is gone. And I just today ought to be an interesting day walking into work if you're a Las Vegas Raiders player, because I mean you're still right in the thick of things, and now John Gruden's out.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's none of their fault. I mean, it's the fault of none of them, and like a guy like Derek Carr who's worked hard to obviously it partnered with Gruden and trying to turn everything around, and now it's I don't know. I mean, I guess they're not a terrible team. Maybe they can rally together and play well, but boy, that's just a huge disruption, obviously, and now they have to start over. I mean, I'm interested, obviously, to hear from Carl Nassib too.
Yep.
On this and the bigger picture as well of where is the NFL on things like this? I know these emails were a long time ago, but again, I don't think it's a very isolated viewpoint. But boy, it was a stream of ugliness from him.
Let's go to our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 1025. Chris texting in. No one in America should be able to stand behind or support anything he said. If he apologizes and changes, then he 100% deserves a second chance. God has given me 1,000 second chances that I did not deserve. This is coming from Chris on the text line.
Well, again, like, that's fine, but like his job dictates that like you can't do that job anymore when these views have been made public. I mean, John Gruden's going to walk away, and he has millions and millions of dollars. There are. I mean, I don't think you have to cry for John Gruden here. Remember, he's the one who did this, and I understand that it's in an email to another guy, and it's just a bizarre situation. It's a stroke of bad luck for him, no doubt about it, that this stuff becomes public. But you can't, like, how could someone be a face of an organization that not only claims but actually does promote diversity and have diversity and always has? He's going to be the face of that organization. Now, I understand. I think Chris is saying like a second chance somewhere else. And again, I'm not ruling that out, and I'm not even saying zero. I would never want to see it, but I do want to see actual, earnest, real discussion from Gruden about why, he hasn't figured out at this point in his life, or even 10 years ago in his life, which is still totally inexcusable, to accept other people and their differences, to accept women in the NFL. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I don't care if it was 20 years ago.
Yep, and now John Gruden, we'll see what is the next stop for him in this situation. But my guess is we're not going to hear from John Gruden for a long time. My guess is we won't hear from him very soon. And, it kind of sucks because I would like to hear from him and see what he has to say on this situation. But I can imagine where the people close to him say, hey, I don't know if it matters all that much what you say right now. It's not going to go over all that well. So I don't imagine we'll hear from him for a little while.
Yeah, that's probably a little while, but again, I mean, I hope we do hear from him at some point, because like he is the one who's getting vilified. He's the one who's paying the price here right now. He does not represent. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, I grew up in sports. Homophobia was absolutely part of the language growing up. I mean, there's no question about it. Totally different as a kid for me than racism, which was clearly bad. Homophobia was pop culture. I mean, it was so he doesn't, you have to get over that and grow up and grow as a person, which he clearly at least didn't do 10 years ago. But he could be a part of something positive out of this too.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
Yossi from the circle. He scores! Roman Yossi scores in overtime.
Thursday night, Roman Yossi and the Predators begin their season on home ice against the Seattle Kraken. Pre-game at 6, face-off at 7 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
COVID hospitalizations of young people have tripled since summer. Talk to your doctor for vaccine questions. We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Fiero Tequila Habanero is for those who enjoy the flavor of spice, naturally infused with fresh, vine-ripened peppers from farmers in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Fiero Tequila Habanero is unapologetically the spiciest infused tequila available in the U.S. The hand-picked habaneros provide a delicious kick to the smooth Blanco tequila. It's a flavor punch that's perfect as a shot, or a spicy way to spice up your hard seltzer, or perfect for a fiery cocktail. Available at fine liquor stores and your favorite drinking establishments. Fiero Tequila, the world belongs to the brave.
Hey, it's Jared Stillman. Guys, are you tired of feeling old? You know that feeling. You don't have any energy. You're gaining pounds. Well, guess what? My friends at Invigorate Health are the ones to help you. They don't just focus on one area of the aging body. They take care of all of it with so many different therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you specifically in mind. So give them a try. Invigorate Health if you want to feel young again. Out in Mount Juliet at 615-288-4777 or invigoratehealthtn.com.
We blow the doors off of every long-held kept industry secret, every secret that other stores don't want you to know. At Genesis, we're excited to share with you.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper talking about how Genesis reveals all of the long-held secrets of the jewelry industry.
We love being completely transparent. We teach you the things other stores do not want you to know. We make you a really dangerous customer for every other store in town.
So, before you buy a diamond anywhere, come get the real scoop on diamonds at Genesis. You have nothing to lose.
Nothing gives us more pleasure than to teach every person that comes in, not just about diamonds, but how to buy diamonds like a professional.
Genesis Diamonds, teaching you to maximize value and get her the biggest, highest quality diamond at a no-nonsense price.
It's that light that goes off in my guests' eyes when they have that aha moment, when they not only see the difference at Genesis Diamonds, but they can feel it.
Genesis Diamonds, voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring year after year. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, Craneworks. The Craneworks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give Craneworks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call Craneworks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Sail on into Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey Nashville, Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here, inviting you to tune in on ESPN 94.9 every Monday at 6 p.m. for the Commodore Hour, providing you with exclusive insights on Vanderbilt athletics.
Hey Nashville, this is David Poyle. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
From the sacks going up.
Is it,
apart from the sacks, are you serious? When you talk about Harold Landry, you ask some follow-up on Harold Landry. All right, fine, go ahead.
God. Is it nice to see him get rewarded? He's had all the pressures.
How long have you two known each other?
He's had all the pressures.
How long have you two known each other? Is this an honest question?
Century, maybe?
Not all that long. But we've got a remarkable. So anyway, nice to see Landry.
Just great chemistry between you and Glenn yesterday at the press conference.
Like if I was listening to that was bizarre. It was funny if you saw it. Glennon. I mean, Glennon asks like 97 questions every presser. He can't. I usually try to pipe down and just pick my spots, not mess up the beat writers and yeah.
Glennon very inquisitive at the press conferences.
We both wanted to ask about Harold Landry, so
apparently so.
Vrabel wanted to know how long we knew each other.
Also both elbowing each other during this.
Yeah, jostling. So
what a moment yesterday.
We'll
at the
have Glennon
press
on
conference.
later.
We will.
To yell at him.
Yeah, you can hear more of that at 8 o'clock. John Glennon coming on. Joe Rexrode and John Glennon. Vrabel had some fun with that one yesterday. Was that the highlight of the Vrabel press conference? Probably so.
I don't know. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, that definitely was that was a highlight.
It was weird.
Yeah, it was really weird. And then everybody just couldn't contain. They were just laughing. And then Joe goes, "Well, the better question."
Yeah.
After that.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I mean, my question was a little bit better than John's. It wasn't great. But yeah, the question was to me, okay, fine, he has more sacks, right? Harold Landry has more sacks.
Sure.
But apart from that, because we always talk about it, like Vrabel always talks about it, what really matters? It's not just sacks. It's getting the quarterback off his spot. It's affecting the quarterback. So apart from the sacks, which obviously he's being rewarded with that now, is he a better player? He didn't really answer my question, but I mean, he did. He answered it, and this is where Vrabel doesn't want to get into like, hey, let's throw some bouquets at this guy or that guy, or let's criticize this guy or that. He doesn't want to do that either. With a lot of questions about Rashaan Evans yesterday. And, Vrabel said it's got to get better, but he always tries to bring it to, we all have to get better. Someone missed the gap. Someone missed the gap on the James Robinson, what was it, 68 or 58-yard
58.
run? Both of those plays were 58?
Both those plays 58, yeah.
Someone missed a gap. He's not going to say Rashaan Evans. I mean, you can watch the play over again, and it's clear that it was Rashaan Evans, but he's not going to call out a player. He's also careful to say, yeah, this guy's amazing, which I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it as well, but it is interesting because Rashaan Evans, I mean, we talked about it yesterday. He was not good in that game against Jacksonville, and I guess the question now is, what do you do moving forward with him? I mean, at the moment, he's got to play. Jayon Brown's not out there and is not available for you, and unfortunately, that just kind of continues to be the story of Jayon Brown with the Titans. He's a good player when he's on the field. He's had a tough time lately getting on the field and staying on the field for the Titans. So, I think you feel pretty good about David Long at this point. But Rashaan Evans is going to have to play as they continue to move forward here. But he's got to get better. I mean, the way he played Sunday, that's just not acceptable. And it's going to be really difficult to make winning plays at that position if that's going to be what Rashaan Evans is.
Yeah, just there's someone, and I think it might have been Mike Herndon, tweeted out a coverage play where he apparently just kind of didn't know where he was supposed to be in the zone, and he sort of went one way, and then he did a total pirouette in the middle of the field. Meanwhile, where he was supposed to be, a completion was made, and he's late to get there. I mean, look, you can find players making mistakes. You can find, great plays. Rashaan Evans will make big plays. I know a lot. I will say on his behalf, there's a lot made of him diving over at the goal line. He jumped up and dived. But I mean, that does happen sometimes. Guys guess. It didn't sound like that was he necessarily played it wrong. Now, granted,
Troy Polamalu did that a few times, and he timed it up well a lot, but he also missed a few times.
Right, and sometimes they went somewhere else, and then he's just – so if you're at the inch line, sometimes things like that happen. But, yeah, basic run fits that let a guy get out for 60 yards, that's a problem. And it just seems like it's a continuation for him from last season, which I would say then is that coaching. Because I saw Rashaan Evans, I thought, grow as a player in 2019 in Dean Peen's last year as D coordinator. And this is a continuation this year of kind of he's just sort of missing. Now, I do think a lot of it is just some people have great instincts, some people don't. He's a great athlete. Jayon Brown isn't a great athlete. He has great instincts. I mean, David Long, I think we're seeing now. David Long's a good athlete who also has good instincts.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think some of it is just your own limitations, but I think it's fair to wonder if the defensive coaching change has really hurt him.
Yeah, I think it's fair too. And to my point, I mean, you're going to have to play him right now, but if and when Jayon Brown comes back, as Brian in Portland on the text line points out, it's going to be pretty hard to keep David Long and Jayon Brown at the same time off the field. And some of that's going to be matchup driven. But I don't think it's a stretch at this point to say your best linebacker combo, Jayon Brown, David Long Jr.
Well, yeah, but the problem is now Jayon Brown's on IR. I mean, I agree and asked Shane Bowen about that. I guess it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, going into the Jets game.
Yeah.
What about that combination?
He liked it.
Yeah. And I do agree that at some point you could see that. Now, it also depends on opponent. I mean, look, Rashaan Evans has the physicality and size that you do want one of your inside linebackers still to have that in this league. It's still teams still do try to run the ball a fair amount. It's not a running league. Most people aren't the Titans, but you need that too. I mean, at times if you had those two, Brown and Long, that could be a disadvantage. But for the most part, I agree. I mean, they both. You got good versatility. Long's worked really hard on coverage stuff, and they both make plays. They make plays.
They do. And having said all that, now would be a pretty good time to have David Long and Jayon Brown with the matchups you've got coming up the next 4 weeks. A lot of throwing the ball going on out there. A lot of coverage that's going to be necessary.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, because the Bills, they don't really try to run. Their best
Josh Allen runs.
Yeah, he's their best running back. Obviously, the Chiefs, we know what they do. Now the Rams try to muscle you as well. I mean, they've got a really nice balance. And we know the Colts. I mean, that game is, the Colts game is a Rashaan Evans game.
Yep.
But you're right. The next
they've not covered Naheem Hines yet, so
right.
What would be different?
Yeah, that's right. And even like with Jayon, who knew exactly what he was supposed to do and was right there, but still, I mean, that kid is – I still think he's underutilized. Meanwhile, Marlon Mack wants a trade, and he looked good last night too, by the way.
Absolutely. Let's go to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ethan from Lawrenceburg texting in. Will Compton, anybody? Question mark.
I mean, they have Will Compton-like guys. Do they have Jan Johnson right now? I mean, they have Nick DeZubnar, who obviously they like a little bit better than Will Compton. So I don't think like Will Compton comes in and all of a sudden he's over Nick DeZubnar, or else he'd be on the team and Nick DeZubnar wouldn't be on the team, right? I mean, I understand.
He's in town. You need to give him a call.
Right. Will Compton, I mean, I thought Will Compton, when he was forced into action, did pretty well. But that's also a name that comes up because of his other stuff, right?
Yeah. That darn podcasting.
Yeah, that's right.
People are all over Taylor Lewan about.
That has ruined Taylor Lewan's career.
He posted like a screenshot on Twitter of like a flight to Jacksonville the other day, Will Compton. He was like, I'm coming, guys.
Oh, really?
Seeing like section 112 over there, asking why Rexrode's going around interviewing people before the game.
Trying to find the little kid.
Yeah, I did not see Will. He probably would have had something funny to say to Urban.
Yeah, well, he probably would have.
Probably still hurting from the Nebraska completely botching a upset win over Michigan.
Speaking of Urban, did you see like the total deflection of blaming the offensive coordinator and blaming?
I was there.
Yeah, and then yesterday talking to I want to have a balanced offense approach, thinking 250, 250. So 250 passing, 250 rushing.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. You put up 500 yards of offense every game, sure.
Yeah. Well, if you get to play Rutgers more often, you're going to be in good shape.
Somebody had a stat that said Urban's solution is something that's happened 33 times in the 52-year history of the NFL. 250 and 250 in a game. Yeah, good luck with that, Urban. See how that goes.
Well, yeah. I mean, so after the 4th and 1. Of course, he's like, well, I don't micromanage the – yeah, okay. So, in other words, it wasn't my fault. It was someone else. Yeah. And then, I mean, seriously, the thing that really got me was, it may sound silly, but we don't – Trevor's not comfortable doing the quarterback sneak. Then Trevor Lawrence comes in like 2 minutes later, like, oh, yeah, we do that. I'm good with that. We worked that.
Just a total disaster. We'll continue to talk about the Titans. Take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Support Stars this Saturday by running, walking, or boogieing in the Nashville Striders' 21st annual Shelby Bottoms Boogie 15K and 5K run walk at Shelby Bottoms Park. This event is perfect for the avid runner as well as the casual jogger, or you can show your support and participate virtually. For more information, visit starsnashville.org. We'll be right back. Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Any lingering showers are being pushed into East Tennessee, which means our partly cloudy skies this morning will be mostly sunny by the afternoon. High temperatures, upper 70s, lower 80s.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
It's not just about being in your community. It's about being your community. Come experience the all-new state-of-the-art Volunteer State Bank, second Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank offers personalized services like banking for professionals, free Kasasa checking, the convenience of mobile banking, and the money you need when you need it. Visit one of our 13 locations or online at ballstatebank.com. Real people, real solutions, right here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey is the official whiskey of the NFL pregame broadcast on ESPN 1025 The Game. Screwball is the original and most awarded peanut butter whiskey in the world. Made with real whiskey, peanuts, and peanut butter, Screwball is all natural flavor to be enjoyed as a straight shot, in an espresso martini, peanut butter old fashioned, or a PB&J shot with a berry liqueur. Check out screwballwhiskey.com/recipes for more. Be sure and ask for Screwball by name at your favorite watering hole in Nashville.
Enjoy responsibly. 2021 Screwball Spirits LLC, San Diego, California. Whiskey with natural flavors, 35% alcohol by volume.
With Fundbox, you can stop waiting and start doing. If your small business needs funds to grow, the time is now. Fundbox offers fast, easy access to small business funding up to $150,000. So hire that new employee, launch that campaign, buy that piece of equipment. Apply in minutes at fundbox.com, and you could get funding as soon as the next business day. Fundbox. Ready, set, grow. Credit line amounts, rates, and terms are based on creditworthiness and subject to change. Additional documentation may be required.
Part of the education at Genesis Diamonds is we blow open the door on long-held industry secrets and teach you to buy a diamond like we buy a diamond.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
We teach you everything that other stores don't want you to know.
For example, did you realize that fancy cut diamonds like emerald cuts, princess cuts, ovals should always cost you significantly less, not more, than a comparably sized round diamond?
If you go to a jewelry store and they tell you that fancy-shaped diamonds are more rare and more expensive, that's an immediate red flag. Fancy-shaped diamonds are 20% less per carat than the equivalent round diamond.
So before you buy a diamond, learn the facts. Get a no-holds-barred education from the non-commissioned experts at Genesis Diamonds.
There's no secrets. We are an open book. We pride ourselves on our transparency and our education.
Genesis Diamonds, a no-risk, no-pressure, no-nonsense shopping experience. Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring.
Diamonds are our passion. We live this 24/7.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Darren McFarland.
He's cool. He's got a personality, and they make fun of him.
Willie Donick.
Would this be a fun guy to come to work and hang around with all day?
Chase McCabe.
They're just like, hey, we need you to play yourself.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
ESPN 94.9 is the official English radio home of the Nashville Soccer Club. Listen in this Saturday as Nashville SC takes on DC United. Pregame starts at 6:15, and the match begins at 6:30. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteers State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Tyler from Berry Hill texting in. What about that game last night? Are the Ravens overrated, or are the Colts going to be a scary team if Wentz can stay healthy?
You might be both on – or might be both. You might be both on right counts. You might be right on both counts there, Tyler. The Ravens are, they were really dominated last night. And then Lamar Jackson, put a team on his back and was outrageously good. And he has grown a lot. So that's the thing. I mean, the Ravens are 4-1. They haven't played very well. They've got deficiencies. He has taken another step. Anybody who watched that game last night, that's not the same Lamar Jackson. He's worked really hard on – on being able to if he's contained in a pocket, being able to stand in there and hurt teams that way, and he's doing it now. I think the Colts are dangerous. The problem is they just blew that game, and they're 1-4. I think Carson Wentz looked really good last night. Carson Wentz moving around is a threat. He's potentially a problem for people. They ran the ball extremely well. Their defense was great until it just got Lamar'd. I mean, they do have some issues at corner, and but their receivers now, Pittman, they're starting to come on a little bit. So I think they're dangerous. The question is, what does that do to them to botch that game? That game was theirs.
Well, and now we read off the standings earlier. The Titans at 3-2. The Texans, Colts at 1-4, and obviously the Jags at 0-5. I mean, the Titans are sitting in a really good spot in the AFC South. But how do the Titans get through this portion of their schedule? I mean, that's going to be and obviously the Colts game is a big one in there on Halloween. But the Bills, the Chiefs, the Colts, the Rams, and then right after the Rams, you've got the Saints, and who knows what Saints team is going to show up in that game. I mean, this is a big stretch, and we knew it when the schedule came out. This was going to be a stretch that largely defines the way this Titans season goes. We talk about the Titans being in a really good spot. You go 1-4 in your next 5 games, all of a sudden you're not in that great of a spot anymore if you're the Titans. So this is a gigantic stretch coming up for this team, and they've got to take it to a different level than we've seen so far this year. The question is, can they?
Well, the interesting thing about this stretch is, and I know this is, this is probably controversial, but the toughest and easiest game may be the first 2 games. Now, I'm saying that because now Tyreek Hill's hurt, so we'll see it with that. But the Chiefs right now are like, they can certainly go up and down the field on Titans, but I think the same is true of the Titans.
Yeah.
But the toughest of the stretch is right away. I mean, this is the team I think you'd have to put them number 1 in the NFL right now. Their defense, everything. They don't have any clear holes. So if you're the Titans, I mean, obviously, first of all, that's all you focus on. If you get that win, that would be a big upset, one. But if you get thumped in that game, then now you have to try to recover against a struggling but still extremely lethal and still maybe the most talented offensive team in the league, Kansas City. But like you said, people, I mean, like the Saints, that's not a gimme. I mean, it gets a lot easier after this 4-game stretch, but yeah, you've got to try to find a way to get 2 of the next 4 and get out of there. If you do, I think you're feeling fine.
Yeah, if you end
easier said than done.
It's much easier said than done, and you got to get healthy. And you're getting to the point now where, especially by the time the Colts game and the Rams game comes around, you need your offensive line to be completely healthy and to continue to take steps forward. I mean, look, let's be honest here. It's going to be difficult to block Aaron Donald regardless of how healthy and how equipped they are, because it's just difficult to block Aaron Donald. So you got that coming up on Sunday Night Football on November the 7th. But even the Colts, they did a good job, I thought, for the most part, against the Colts in the first game. Can you do that again on the road in what is going to be a massive game? I still don't – it's difficult for me to see in the next 2 games the Titans winning against the Bills and the Chiefs and being 5-2 while the Colts are sitting there 1-6 and the division race being over. I don't anticipate that to be the case on Halloween.
No, I agree. And think about how different it might look if the Colts not just botched that last night. I mean, it could look a lot different by then. So that's a big outcome for the Titans last night in terms of the division. But no, I think it'll be tighter. I think it'll be tighter by then, and the Colts certainly will be primed to even things up and set up a race, into November.
Yeah, but we'll see beginning tomorrow what the injury situation is starting to look like for the Titans. Remember, an extra day this week, so got the Monday Night Football matchup against the Bills coming up. Maybe that extra day can help some Titans players be ready and be available. This would be a nice game to have Julio Jones. I know, you want him for the long haul, and I get all that, but it would sure be nice if your big acquisition on offense, and quite frankly, your big acquisition on defense as well, and Bud Dupree would be available for this game, because my guess is the way the Bills have played as of late, you're going to need all the help you can get in this one.
I would be more optimistic right now about Dupree than Julio, just because we just don't know. And Vrabel was asked, and we'll see Wednesday. So we'll see tomorrow when they're on the field. But Bud Dupree, the fact that he obviously got close last week. He was out there doing everything, and then they ultimately decided not to go with him. But I've got to think he's awfully close. They also could get Amani Hooker back. That would be big.
Well, the loss that, especially in this matchup, and as you move into Kansas City as well, but, obviously you've got Stephon Diggs staring you down on the other side this week. It'd sure be nice to have Christian Fulton out there, and I don't know that we're going to see Christian Fulton out there.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so based on just how gingerly he was walking. That doesn't look like a comeback next week thing. Sometimes it is, but it doesn't look like it. So then the question is, okay, is Caleb Farley, is he ready? You figured, even going into the year, it's like, well, at some point someone's going to get hurt. But Breon Borders is obviously there too, and Breon Borders has been a nice backup. I mean, he's been able to come in and do some good things. But, gosh, you sure would like to think that your first-round pick is starting to round into the form that would give him the opportunity to do that if needed.
Well, remember, Caleb Farley earlier in the offseason with Chris Collinsworth said, he's not scared going straight up at Tyreek Hill. So
he may get his chance.
He might get his chance, man.
Might not. I don't know. I don't know the status of Tyreek Hill, but he does have a knee right now.
He does. We'll see what happens on that front. By the way, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, MCL sprain. So that looked a lot worse than an MCL sprain the other night.
That's good. That's good to hear because it looked bad.
Yep. So
but that probably takes him out for the Titans game.
I would say so.
Yeah. So that's certainly a loss. That's now. I swear, every back they put in there, just because of how that offense works, there's still like so much space.
Yeah.
And the coverage drops. Everything's sunk at, trying to deal with Hill and Kelsey. And it's like, okay, here's 14 yards for Darrell Williams, whoever.
Yeah.
But still, Edwards-Helaire has been very good.
Well, and if you're the Titans defense, look, Buffalo's going to put up some points. I think we know that heading into this game. This is a game where this offense, they've got to get rolling. By the way, I blame Michelle Knezvik. Ever since she went on her diatribe against the Bills, they've been pretty good.
Yeah, right. We had that whole week of me just trashing the Bills.
Just getting all over them.
The Steelers beat them, and then they just
turning the best team in the league.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I have faith in our Titans.
It's probably good for you, that like maybe a lot of if Bills Mafia, if that went viral within Bills Mafia, they'd be all over you right now.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yes.
Like you'd have to change your account name and stuff. Don't mess with them.
Yeah, I know. They're scary.
Here we are, less than a week away from Bills Mafia outside Nissan Stadium, jumping on an assortment of tables. It's gonna
Guys,
be fun.
what a sight.
Hide your
Can't you
folding
not
tables.
wait to see all of them just in Nashville? Can't wait.
Last time they were here, somebody knocked themselves out on the side of the hill, missing the table, hit the side of the concrete. It was good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that was...
Surprised that doesn't happen more often.
Yeah, usually they're pretty good and accurate with their throwing their bodies on folding tables.
With fire on them.
Yeah. Wow.
How did this tradition start,
A
do you
flame.
think? They said, you know what? We're just going to light this table on fire and dive on the table.
I mean, it's only I only know of this for probably 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Is that true, or does it actually go back to Jim Kelly days?
I don't know. I mean, look, it gets
OJ days.
You know this. I mean, it gets cold enough in Buffalo where you start to drink some of that liquid courage to stay warm. You can come up with some ideas,
Sure.
I guess, out there in the parking lot.
Yeah, light yourself on fire. That
Sounds
will
smart,
get you warmer.
right?
Yeah.
Really smart.
You will definitely be warmer. When we come back, we'll switch gears, get into the Nashville Predators. The opening night roster is set. What do we make of the lineup, and what does this mean for some young guys as they move forward here? All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
Have the players got to the point to where they know that you can't do that? Then maybe it's time to relax the rule.
The voice of the fan.
The offensive line was the worst looking thing about the whole team, and it set the tone for the game.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Gary Ashton here. Most people in Nashville know me as the don't sell without the intel and the guaranteed offer guy. But despite my accent, I'm also 100% guaranteed Nashville. I'm a guaranteed musician, a guaranteed dog lover, and you're also guaranteed to see me at every Titans and Preds game. Guaranteed offer means the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage will sell your house for top dollar with no cleaning, staging, showings, or open houses, and give you up to 90 days to close. So there's plenty of time to find your next home. Guaranteed Nashville means my team lives here and loves it here. We've served Nashville for over 20 years, and we're passionate about helping the people we call neighbors and friends, which is why we've had a long-standing tradition of donating to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. If you're thinking about a guaranteed offer, get the only one that's guaranteed Nashville. Request a no-obligation offer by calling 615-301-1650 or go to GaryAshton.com today. Remember, Gary Ashton, guaranteed Nashville.
Red Hot Chili Peppers are back. Anthony, Chad, Flea, and John live on stage. World Tour 2022 with very special guests. The Strokes, and Thundercat. Nissan Stadium, Friday, August 12th, 2022. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. Check more at RedHotChiliPeppers.com.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Sail on into Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Let me tell you, the most expensive mistake a homebuyer can make is not shopping for the best mortgage. Hey, I'm Roger Moore, founder and CEO of Loan Pronto. It's a fact. Homebuyers who choose Loan Pronto save an average of $3,500. That is a ton of money for furniture or moving expenses. How do we do it? First, we don't charge our clients thousands in junk lender fees and closing costs, and our all-digital platform streamlines the process so you close faster and easier. Realtors love working with us, and we will work with your existing realtor, but don't make a decision about the loan until you call us. Listen, not all mortgages are created equal, and it pays to get a second opinion. Even if you've already started the process, we promise to beat your current offer, or we will pay you $1,000 for your time. So check us out at loanpronto.com or call us today at 615-499-5780. Lower rates, lower cost, and a stress-free experience. Again, loanpronto.com or call us at 615-499-5780.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember FDIC, equal housing lender. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We'll be joined by John Glennon from SI.com to begin the 8 o'clock hour. We'll get hot and heavy into the Titans with him. Mike Golick Jr. from ESPN at 8:30. Charles Robinson at 9 o'clock. And Chris Mason, Preds TV analyst, at 9:30. So a lot still to come here today on the show. And speaking of the Nashville Predators, the opening night roster is out. Adam Vingan putting these roster decisions out there last night. At forward, Nick Cousins, Matt Duchene, Philip Forsberg, Cody Glass, Mikhail Granlund, Rocco Grimaldi, Tanner Jeannot, Ryan Johansson, Luke Cunnin, Matthew Olivier, who is on IR at the moment, Colton Sissons, Eli Tolvanen, Philip Tomasino makes the opening night roster, and Yakov Trenin as well. On defense, Benning, Borowiecki, Carrier, Ekholm, Fabro, Harper, Yossi, and Myers, and then, of course, Saros and Rittich in goal. So there's your opening night roster. Matthew Olivier on IR, so he's not a part of things at the moment. There will be a decision to be made whenever he comes off of IR, and you'll have to get back down to 23 at that point. Anything in particular stand out to you about the opening night roster? Any surprises for the opening night roster?
No, not really. I mean, I think, Tomasino, I knew he had it all along.
That's right.
Maybe it was very close. But I think, look, beyond the fact that fans really want to see him, and look, there's probably going to be unrealistic expectations, and then he'll have a month and he'll be okay, and people will wonder what's, that all that stuff is part of it. I feel like this team needs him, even if he's young and not quite ready to be what they think he can be someday. I mean, I think they need more, creativity and scoring and speed and skating, and it looks like he'll be able to bring that. So, but I mean, I think the roster is about exactly what I figured it would be.
Yep, and we'll see what happens when Olivier is gone. I mean, Darren talked yesterday on our show about Igor Afanasyev. I mean, you're going to see him up at some point this year. He's down in Milwaukee now. Honestly, I think it's kind of good that he's starting down there. He's not had some time at the AHL yet. Played in the KHL last year. I think he, to Darren's point, is further along than they maybe thought he was coming into camp, and we'll see if he can translate to the AHL level. So, I mean, look, John Hines kind of pointed this out last week, and it's true. We make a big deal about the opening night roster. It's really the roster for one game, and then it can change pretty quickly after that. I mean, you're going to see a lot of movement up and down this year. I'm sure you'll see, Afanasyev up at some point. You'll probably see Jeremy Davies on defense up at some point. I mean, there's going to be some moving parts. I mean, heck, depending on how David Riddick does as backup goalie, you could see Connor Ingram up at some point to play in goal. So, there's a lot of things about this that are going to change. The lines that they've been practicing with the last few days are about where I thought they'd be. They're interesting. I mean, you've got the top line, Forsberg, Johansson, Duchesne, and then you've got Tolvanen, Granlund, Cunnin, and then maybe the most intriguing line, Cousins, Cody Glass, Philip Tomasino, and then the herd line on the fourth line with Jeannot, Sissons, and Trennan. Interested to see how that third line does coming up on Thursday against Seattle. Cody Glass, Philip Tomasino together with Nick Cousins as the veteran presence kind of holding that down. Interested to see how they do and the matchups they get at home on Thursday.
Yeah, that's the completely unknown line.
Yeah.
And but the big hopes with two of the three guys, on that line. Because you basically kind of know what you're getting. Well, I shouldn't say you know what you're getting. Your top line, you hope that the preseason was actually a preview of what you're getting from that line. Yep. And some of what we saw in the Carolina series too. But you still, those guys. Obviously, the second and fourth line are pretty, those guys have worked together a lot, but that third line is very, it's the big mystery, the big question mark.
It is the big question mark, and it's one of those things where you look at the second line. Can Tolvanen take off with Granlund and Cunnin? Obviously Granlund and Cunnin played a lot together last year, played pretty well in the playoffs, and I think it's fair to say, like, Granlund is the forward that I think John Hines probably trusts the most. I mean, you could probably make an argument for Forsberg there as well, but Granlund, obviously, they're comfortable putting him in any situation. He's going to start off down the middle. Can Tolvanen be productive right from the jump, and can he do it 5-on-5? We know he's going to be on the power play. They're going to feed him a lot on the power play. Based off last year, based off what I've seen in practice, there's a lot going through Eeli Tolvanen on the power play. So we know that is going to be an option for him. Can he be productive 5-on-5? And is Granlund and Cunnin the right combination to help him be productive 5-on-5? Interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, that's a very important. And, his ability to – I feel like the injury had to have had some effect on sort of the production dip, once he came back. But we'll see. By the way, on that power play then, is that Forsberg in the right circle?
I believe they had him on a different unit the last time I checked. I'd have to go back and run through my notes.
I thought those two were really – it was just really good for a stretch last year.
Yeah. I believe, if I am remembering correctly, Forsberg, Johansson, and Duchesne are also on a power play unit together.
Interesting.
Yeah. We'll see if – look, that was a couple days ago. We'll see if that sticks. Yeah, we'll see if that sticks for game one. I mean, they could change that. They're not practicing today. They did practice yesterday. They'll practice again tomorrow in preparation for the Seattle game. But very interesting, and a lot of fans high on Yakov Trenin this year. They think Yakov Trenin could have a big year offensively. So we've talked a lot about Tanner Jeannot and maybe whether or not he could be a guy that breaks out a little bit offensively. Maybe Yakov Trenin. We'll have to wait and see. Starting off on the herd line.
I mean, what does that mean? I certainly – I think he's like a 10-12 goal guy. Is that good enough for where he is?
I mean, if you told me right now the fourth liner had 12 goals, I'd be like, yeah, you'd probably take that.
Right. So, people aren't talking like 20 goal scorer Yakov Trenin.
Yeah, some people are talking.
You think that's possible? Might be a little bit of a stretch.
But possible? Sure.
Hey, he does some things where you're like, oh. He's
got some hands.
Fun guy, absolutely fun guy to watch. They're gonna be. I mean, they're gonna get some. They're gonna get some ice time.
They're going to get some ice time, and then on D, Ben Harper's sticking around, baby. He's on the opening night roster. He's been playing at practice on a pairing with Fabro, so I think he's going to play Thursday. Like I think right now,
that's the third pairing.
The odd pairing out is going to be Benning Borvietsky to begin play. Just the read I get on it. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I think old Ben Harper's going to be in there on Thursday night.
There you go. I guess it's better than Good Branson for your sake.
Oh yes, there's no question about that.
Good Branson's like Mariota territory for you.
Did anybody pick him up?
I have no idea.
They didn't bring him back. Let's see. Eric Goodbranson is Calgary Flames.
Okay.
So he's in there, baby.
See? He's still a pro. Other people like him too.
That's right. Really interested to see. Number one, we'll see if Calle Yarncroke is going to play on Thursday for Seattle. Right now, Seattle is playing tonight, by the way. Hockey season getting underway tonight. The Kraken and the Vegas Golden Knights tonight on ESPN. Calle Yarncroke not going to play. He's on the COVID list at the moment. So I don't know whether or not Calle Yarncroke's going to be here and be available to play on Thursday. That'd be pretty disappointing.
What is no idea what the timeline is on that? Huh, man. That would be too bad.
I thought we were going to have the return of Jadeveon Rexrode for at least one night.
Yeah, like
maybe not.
Hour-long pregame video presentation. We'll have to be. We'll wait till next time.
That's right.
Boy, Callie.
That's right.
Yes.
Brian texting in, the Yak did snag a sweet breakaway goal against Carolina on Saturday. He did. Nice breakaway backhand hands.
He's done it before.
He made. I want to say it was like a Red Wings game last year where he made someone look just silly. And I was like, was that Yakov Trenin that did that? Wow. Look at him.
He's nimble.
Yes.
He's nimble for a big guy.
We'll continue the discussion on the Predators. Take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Your expectations for this Predators team this season. Outwardly, they are low around the league. What are your expectations for this group? Hit up our text line at 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
In 2 days. Nashville Predators hockey returns.
Now the real work starts, and we want to build on our momentum we have and keep improving every day.
Your exclusive home for every second of the action is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Looking for serious horsepower for your tough jobs? Get to Northern Tool. They're now open at 7 a.m. to serve you better. Kickstart your workday with Northern Tool and equipment. Quality tools for serious work.
102.5 The Game has your chance to win Preds tickets all month long. Just post a picture of your radio dial set to 102.5 The Game on social media and tag the game and use hashtag TicketDash to be instantly qualified. All brought to you by Social Furniture. Shop local. Shop social.
Don't be surprised to go into a jewelry store looking for a certain diamond only to hear them say, "We don't have it in stock, but we can get it for you." The fact is, most jewelers today don't carry a large diamond inventory, except one, Genesis Diamonds.
If you're in the diamond business and you don't have diamonds, you're not in the business.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President David Cooper.
It's not an issue of I can get it for you. It's I've got it for you. I'm ready for you. This is our specialty. Whether it's a half a carat, 5 carat, 10 carat, we have it. It's in stock because we are all in with diamonds and diamond jewelry. Nowhere else can you go and see a selection of larger GIA certified diamonds anywhere in the city.
All sizes, all shapes, including the region's most extensive collection of large, rare investment grade diamonds and the hard to get fancy colored stones.
We have them in stock.
Genesis Diamonds, continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring.
Every stone is hand selected for its brilliance, its beauty, but more importantly for its value.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use. Only down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
OC from the circle. He scores! Roman Yossi scores in overtime. And the Predators take it 4-3.
We're vibing, Robby. Vibing. We're vibing, Robby.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5. The Game brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, now with 2 locations in Murfreesboro. Visit their brand new Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. And make sure you're tuning in all day long today during the 8 a.m., noon, and 4 p.m. hours each weekday this week for your chance to qualify to win a pair of tickets to see Monday Night Football on October 18th in Nashville. When you hear the Monday Night Football theme song, be caller number 2 at 615-737-1025, and you'll qualify to win the tickets. 2 winners will be announced on Friday at 5:30. Talking Nashville Predators, taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Ryan in Nashville texting in. I think Trennan will get around 15 goals. His shot is misleading to goalies. Would love to see more of him on the power play and penalty kill. Also, the team will finish no better than 5th with no playoffs. This is coming from Ryan in Nashville.
How much power play time do you think Trennan's getting this year?
Not much. Don't think we're going to see a ton of
penalty kill, though.
Could get some penalty kill time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig texting in. My expectation as a season ticket holder is the young guys get good quality NHL experience, and the team finishes somewhere around 500. They're able to make noise in the next couple of years with the youth gaining confidence and experience. Let's say that plays out. They finish around 500.
That's like worst-case scenario, isn't it?
Around 500?
Well, don't you either want to like rebuild or be good?
I would think so.
You know, like to me, like you don't want to just be dwelling in the agonizing middle.
No.
You know. Bottom out. You got to trade Forsberg, rebuild, or
make the playoffs.
Be good.
Yeah. Michael in Clarksville texting in. I think the Preds hang around 4th through 6th in the division all year, and the young guys in Milwaukee play well enough that Poyle feels comfortable selling a few of our older pieces at the deadline. Rittich, Cousins, Benning, etc. I think one of Duchesne or Johansson has a bounce-back year, and that combined with the young guys will convince Philip Forsberg to re-sign. And that's another thing. And here we sit 2 days before opening night for the Predators. No Matthias Ekholm, no Philip Forsberg as of yet to a contract extension. Interested to see if what Michael points out there is true, and maybe the young guys play well enough, Johansson or Duchesne, maybe both, play well this year, and maybe that's enough to convince number 9 to sign a contract extension.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I think that's how I'm looking at it. Part of how I'm looking at it. There's also your whole, like, your future and just doing the best possible thing for you financially and all that stuff. But if I'm Philip Forsberg, I very much telling this team, without saying it, show me something.
Also a very interesting year for John Hines, right? Because, look, I thought he actually did a pretty good job last year. They started off very poorly. And then the run the team goes on the second half of the year, yes, a lot of it was goaltending, but I do think there was a pretty discernible difference in the way that they started to play, and we'll see whether or not they can carry that over to this year. But as far as I know, John Hines has 1 year left on his contract, and this is the year for John Hines. And look, sometimes this happens. Sometimes they give extensions and they don't say anything about it, and maybe that's happened. I don't know. But big year for John Hines, and I guess my question is, like, outwardly, the expectations are not high for this group. I wonder if you gave David Poyle, like, some truth serum, what are his expectations inwardly for this group this year? Because, if you end up missing the playoffs this year, but your young guys look good, there will be a lot of Predators fans yelling after John Hines. I mean, there already are a lot of Predators fans that are just totally out on John Hines. This is a very interesting year for him.
Yeah, it is. I think that he absolutely has to get credit for last year. I mean, if he doesn't get credit for last year, then what's a coach? I guess you can't give him blame for anything either. He has to get credit for last year, and he's also look. We're all well aware of who probably gets the blame if things don't go well. Even though to me. I actually kind of look at the Titans and Preds a little bit the same way. I think it's more. I actually heard Willie and Darren arguing about this yesterday, the coaching aspect for the Titans, okay? Because I think Willie agrees with me that it's more personnel than coaching, but it doesn't mean it's not coaching at all.
Right.
I think with the Preds, it's more personnel than coaching, and I frankly just think it would be ridiculous for John Hines to be blamed more than David Poile if things don't go well, but that often happens. And it is, it's important for him to coexist and have good working relationships with all these players, Matt Duchene and Ryan Johansson and so on and so forth. Obviously, he has punished them, in terms of the lineup at times, and I think deservedly so. There have been comments that suggest some frustration. I'd say both ways, but that's a big part of this job too, is making that work and everybody being a professional.
Nate on the text line says, I don't have faith Poile will do the right thing if the Preds are just on the outside close to the deadline. You sell Forsberg because even if the Preds limp in, they'll be out in the first round again. 2017 is not the norm. You play well, you get in convincingly, not limp in and make a run. This is coming from Nate on the text line. That is going to be, and I think that's a realistic scenario. What happens if the Predators play maybe better than expected, and they are right there on the line in terms of being a playoff team or not being a playoff team, and you have some players maybe that are still unsigned? Like, what do you do if you're David Poile? To me, I've been pretty consistent on this. I don't know how you can't just lose Philip Forsberg for nothing in my mind. So, my decision is pretty clear, but I do wonder what will the Predators do if that's the case, and maybe you're the last wild card team as the deadline's coming around. What do you do at that point? It's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, and that's to me, that's like the nightmare scenario too. We know it's important for the business to make the playoffs. Business is taken into account. There's certainly, I think, most people in the league, and certainly on a particular team, would say, just get us in. We're good enough. Get us in, and we know, look at this tournament. Come on, look at what the things that have happened in this tournament.
The Montreal Canadiens just made the Stanley Cup final.
They did. So how much of a contender, I guess, do you have to look like for it to be justified that you go after the playoffs?
That's the interesting question, because it's looked so different so many times. Like, there wasn't a person that picked Montreal other than Elijah Campbell to win last year against Toronto in the first round. And then they go to the Cup final. Elijah did.
Good job, Elijah.
Yeah, way to go, Elijah.
Right. No, but the problem with that is, like, that's true, but we could also count up way more examples of, where teams that limped in look just like blitzed. Teams that limped in. There's still way more of that than the magical. But there are more of these magical out-of-nowhere runs, I think, in the Stanley Cup playoffs than any other. So there's that, hey, just get in and, we can do it. I think if the Preds are on the fringe and they're just like, it's like last year. The thing about last year, though, is, too, like, they had a long stretch of being more than a fringe team. They were really good for a stretch.
Yeah.
After being really bad.
Yeah.
It's just it was a weird situation.
Well, and that's, we've talked and you brought it up. Most people are just dismissing the idea that maybe Johansson and Duchene play better this year and look good. And look, I get it. I understand why you're dismissing it, because at this point, you'll believe it when you see it. I'm with you. I'm in that same camp. But what happens if they do? Like, what does that mean for this team? Like, if Johansson, Duchesne, and Forsberg look like a legitimate top line to begin the season, what can that do for this group? I mean, to me, that's a pretty gigantic difference in what this team can be if those three guys in particular lead the way.
Yeah.
Like they're paid to lead the way.
Well, and then can they sustain that? Can they be relatively consistent? No one's totally consistent, but relatively consistent through an entire season? I mean, crazier things have happened.
Sure.
But, yeah, most of I think the pessimism about this team has to be rooted in the expectation that those two guys are going to produce around the same level.
Well, and I get it. It's on them to change it at this point. I mean, the pessimism is more than warranted. I'm just saying it's not impossible for them to figure it out. So we'll see what happens on that front. Josh texting in, I wasn't completely sold on Hines at first and still probably am not 100%, but I think coaching stability is more important than most. That's an interesting term in the NHL because the Predators, for the most part, have had coaching stability. I mean, they've had 3 coaches in the history of their franchise. That's not really the norm in the NHL. They cycle through some coaches in the National Hockey League, man. There's a lot of coaches.
Yeah. Well, hey, they could go on a run of one every 2 years too. That happens in this league sometimes.
Yeah, there's that. John from Huntsville texting in, what are the odds you could trade Forsberg and Ekholm and then re-sign them in the offseason? I would say not very high.
Yeah.
I mean, look, has that happened before? Sure.
That's not a strategy.
Yeah, it's not a great strategy.
Yeah, you don't count on that.
Yeah. Sometimes the grass could be greener, and you let a player go, may not come back. Now, to John's point, though, you can't be afraid to deal him away because you think you might not. Even if you want to go back and try that, like you can't just be like, well, we can't deal him away because we want to sign him to a contract. Like you've got to either sign him or get something.
I mean, in theory, you have the same opportunity when they're a free agent, right?
You do.
So, yeah. You actually get assets back, and then you get into the mix, just like you would have gotten in the mix if you didn't trade them.
I have wondered, have GMs ever had conversations with players about that? Like, hey, we're going to trade you, get something back for you, and then we would really like to have you come back.
They have to, right?
Yeah. I'm sure they have.
Is that technically tampering? You can't tamper with your own player, right?
No, I don't guess so. No. Ryan texting in, come trade deadline, if both Forsberg and Ekholm aren't signed, then you need to move them both so you don't get Ryan Sutered again. A lot of Ryan Suter references.
Oh, yeah. Never forget that one.
Now Dallas Stars legend, Ryan Suter. On Stars this year. Interested to see how that goes. I think they could.
He'll get booed just in that uniform just as well as he won the
Ryan Suter can't get out of the Central Division, apparently. From the Preds to the Wild, now to the Stars.
To make as many trips to Nashville as he can make.
I guess so. We'll continue to take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Lane Kiffin addressing the media yesterday. Did he take a little jab at Tennessee? We'll get to that coming up next. Hockey season, speaking of, is in full swing, and there's no better place to bet on the NHL than FanDuel Sportsbook. NHL parlays are the perfect way to make every shot feel like a hat trick, and you can turn a little bet into a big payday. And all season long, FanDuel giving every customer NHL parlay insurance. You'll get up to $25 back each day if your parlay falls one leg short. If you don't have a FanDuel account, sign up now using promo code ROB to place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. FanDuel is always hooking you up with great odds and exclusive offers. Plus, when you win, you'll get paid out in as little as 24 hours. So this season, make every moment matter more and bet on the NHL with FanDuel Sportsbook. And remember to use promo code ROB so they know that I sent you. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Parlay insurance, max refund of $25 per day. Risk-free bet for first online real money wager only. Refund issued is not withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days for parlay insurance and 14 days for a risk-free bet. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, this is Matt Duchesne, and this is Smashville.
Here's Duchesne breaking in. He scores! Matt Duchesne wins it in double overtime!
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. Automatically. Discover. Something brighter. Learn more at discover.com/match.
It's not just about being in your community. It's about being your community.
Come experience the all-new state-of-the-art Volunteer State Bank, second Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank offers personalized services like banking for professionals, free Kasasa checking, the convenience of mobile banking, and the money you need when you need it. Visit one of our 13 locations or online at volstatebank.com. Real people, real solutions, right here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. and Friday at 3:15 to hear News 2's Corey Curtis take on all things Nashville sports, including the week's NFL games. All brought to you by Invigorate Health in Mount Juliet. Look and feel your best with IV therapy, medical weight loss, testosterone, body shaping, and more.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Here they come, turn 4.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Every Saturday morning at 9, we hit the big topics. The Ally 400, Kyle Busch, frustrated, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, and talk to the big names.
I'll go ahead and blame you.
Oh, I think it's big.
Could go a lot of different directions right now.
I was so impressed.
How cool that's going to be.
It's Chasing Checkers, Saturday morning at 9 on ESPN 102.5 The Game and wherever you get your podcast.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
We got a lot of work to do, and getting ready for a challenging place to play. That someone said on the way in, is on schedule to be their first sellout in years, so very loud place, especially at night, and a team that's playing extremely well. 2 conference blowouts in a row, and lightening up on offense, so it's going to be extremely challenging.
That was Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin yesterday at his press conference. Some Vols fans taking that as a shot at Tennessee, saying they're on schedule to be their first sellout in a few years, that he brought that up in the press conference. Do you read that as a shot by Lane Kiffin at Tennessee? It's pretty mild in terms of Lane Kiffin shots.
Yeah, the way he said it, I think he was just sort of matter of fact. I mean, it's the truth. I didn't realize this until yesterday that this is likely to be. I think they're going to announce real soon. I think today possibly the first sellout since Georgia 17. By the way, anybody remember that game? Oh boy, I remember being in the house for that beaut.
That was something.
That was basically like Butch.
Was that the 41-0 game?
Yeah.
Yep. That was a good one.
It was a sellout, and there were many in the crowd rightfully booing their team. It was basically like, I think you already knew, but that was the day where it was like, there's just no question. It's just a matter of when Butch Jones is going to be fired. Again, you're talking 1 year after the Hail Mary to Juwan Jennings in Athens basically ensures, we thought, that they would be in Atlanta. It goes fast on you.
It does.
But, look, Lane's right. It's been several years. I mean, maybe he just heard that information and he passed it along. It didn't sound like Lane, tongue-in-cheek, taking a little shot. Now, maybe he's so good at taking shots at people that even he can kind of camouflage it like that. On Twitter, I'm sure he'll take a shot this week.
I'm really interested to see Lane Kiffin's Twitter feed this week. I'm sure it'll be fun. This will be look, he's been back to Knoxville as the OC at Bama. So it's not his first time back since all the stuff went down with Lane Kiffin. It is his first time back as head coach.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. It's also interesting to me to see how it'll be different Saturday because I think Tennessee fans, based on what they've seen the last couple weeks, they're pretty okay with Josh Heupel at the moment. But, the absolute hatred that they had for Lane Kiffin for like a pretty significant amount of time. For like 5-6 years, they just despise Lane Kiffin. And then going to this last coaching search where they really wanted Lane Kiffin, it's been a pretty crazy about face.
Well, look, I don't blame that at all. I don't. Guy can coach. I mean, yeah, you know,
Get your popcorn ready.
He left for his dream job, and I actually believe him. I believed him at the time, and I still believe him. Like, that was the one thing at that time, especially different than now. USC was like the job.
Yeah,
USC was. I mean, Pete Carroll had taken that to. It was the best program, arguably, in America, and it was home for him. So it just was terrible luck for the Vols that Pete Carroll decided to, and, you know, actually we can blame our guest later, Charles Robinson, really, for part of that.
Yeah.
Decided to leave for the NFL. So, you know, I'm sure Vols fans enjoyed dunking on him as that totally failed on him, and that program has never been the same since, by the way.
It's not.
But he came around. He's proved himself as a coach, right? So I'd say bygones be bygones, and maybe next time around, whenever that may be, there can be a reunion.
Maybe so.
You know?
You know, he did name his son Knox.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and obviously, like you said, I mean, it's year one of Josh Heupel. Things are going well. I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to be a blast. It would be a huge win, obviously, for Heupel, for the Vols. But what if, like, Ole Miss kind of is what it is. It's very good, but there are some limitations that I don't think you have at Tennessee. I think Tennessee has a higher ceiling. Would Lane Kiffin ever, or is it enough of a jump up for him to ever consider coming back? I'm just talking hypothetically. I don't think it'll probably ever come close to happening.
Hypothetically, is that what you said?
I did not, but I like that.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I mean, look, I would have given him a call this last time. I don't know that they did. I'd have given him a call if I was Danny White this last coaching search, just to make him say no. He probably would have said no, but I'd make the call.
Yeah. The problem is it's Tennessee it would be an incremental step up from Ole Miss, and some people would say, is it a step up? Like right now.
Right now, yeah.
It still is. It's a step up, and I mean, just compare the two budgets. I can probably pull that up quickly. There is a difference.
Well, there's always something going through the Alabama fans' head of who's the coach in waiting. Like for a long time, it was Dabo Swinney was the coach in waiting, and then some even said Jeremy Pruitt.
Well, I was just going to say, a year ago, it was like, they beat Missouri. It's like Jeremy Pruitt, and I just got that extension. Yeah. Stay away, Alabama. Jeez.
Changes only in a hurry.
Again, things change fast.
But now they've moved to Lane Kiffin. Like Lane Kiffin is apparently
right?
the coach in waiting now for Alabama, according to some Alabama fans. Yeah.
Because you have to be realistic. You're probably not going to get Kirby. Like, why would Kirby play for Georgia? Yeah, you're not going to probably get Dabo, right?
Well, probably not, but I
probably
guess they continue to just totally unravel at Clemson.
I mean, it is his alma mater, yeah, but probably, I mean,
he'll be fine.
So Lane Kiffin certainly would be better than just going out and trying to find someone, but you never know. I mean, you're telling me like if Alabama, who's the hot name, Matt Campbell or whatever, would you rather just go get the best coach, or you have to have some tie that you'd coached there before?
Well, and the other part
I hate that mindset.
Yeah.
Get the best coach. Nick Saban had no Bama ties. Worked out okay.
Well, the other part is, like, would you really be that surprised if in 2031 Nick Saban is still the coach at Alabama? Like, he'll be 79 at that point, but I'm not going to be overly surprised if he's still there for a long time. So what is
10 years?
What does coach in waiting mean?
Yeah. Well, right, exactly. I mean, who knows what it's going to look like? By then, there will be 20 names we don't know right now who are like, QB coaches or whatever.
I mean, Jeremy Pruitt could have already made his comeback to the big-time college football at that point.
Oh, man. Well, it's going well this year, so.
Yeah, it is.
No, it is interesting. In the meantime, what kind of reception will Lane Kiffin get Saturday night?
I don't know. I mean, look, he'll probably get booed because it's
the other
coach. So my guess is he'll get booed. Like, I doubt very seriously that Tennessee fans are just going to stand up and cheer him or anything. But I don't think it's going to be like an extreme reaction either way.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those guys. Like, I think most Tennessee fans dislike him.
Yeah,
but they take him. I mean, who likes Saban? You know, Bama fans.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
I find him to be very funny.
Yeah, he's
unintentionally.
He's gotten There are some funny moments, but other fan bases, for the most part, right? But they'd do anything to have him as their coach.
Adam in Portland texting in on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Lane is one of those people that is universally hated. It's so easy to hate him. UT fans, USC fans, Bama fans, they've all been burned by him. Thanks for the 1 year of memories, Lane. Awful human being. I wish him many failures.
Why did USC or Bama get burned by Lane?
Yeah, he got fired by USC.
He just failed at USC.
Yeah. Adam
he
says
burned Bama by leaving for a head coaching job? What are you talking about?
Adam says it will be the worst booing in the history of that stadium. I think you're going to be really disappointed. Like, I don't think enough Tennessee fans really care anymore.
I will say, though, it's a night game. Yeah. It's going to be a real good day for tailgating. They're doing the checkerboard thing.
Yeah. That's gone well.
Yeah. Just sort of the setting makes for like a Thunderdome kind of, feel like
it's going to be
wait to see
great environment. Yeah.
I was actually looking at tickets yesterday because we are taking Jack to visit. And so then we're all going to be down there, and they're not cheap.
No.
I was like, gosh, I should have probably look at this a couple weeks ago, huh? Probably would have been a lot better. Like, it's going to be packed, and I mean, it's like uppers, right? Uppers, end zone, like corner, are like about $100 a piece right now.
Jeez.
So I mean, you think about, again, talk about like Tennessee fans. What are they, 4-2, unranked?
Yeah,
you're 4-2, unranked, first year coach after all this awfulness. And you can still fill that massive place for this game. I mean,
102,000 people there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's an elite fan base, that does not support an elite program, but it's an elite fan base, as we will once again see Saturday.
Well, thank God they finally got a night game. There have been a lot of 11 a.m. Central Time games going on, noon Eastern. They had the Pitt game.
That's right. They haven't had a night game at all this year, have they?
Not at home.
Right. Yeah. And again,
no,
that's
the Bowling
right.
Green game.
The Bowling Green game, which
is on a Thursday night, but yeah.
So Bowling Green, Thursday night, but Bowling Green, exactly as I expected. Like, it was about 80,000 people there.
Yeah.
75, 80,000 people. I mean, it's the new era of a coach. But again, all this stuff. What do you and the way attendance is in sports, I thought that was actually a good showing. 4-2, the place is packed, and it's not. I mean, yes, Lane, and it's a great side story, but it's because people want to get excited about this program. And they have reason to right now.
They do. Join us in partnering with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and their families. Through this inspirational nationwide movement, we raise awareness and funding for the groundbreaking research and treatment options to eliminate cancer. Nashville's Light the Night will be virtual and take place on November the 4th. You can learn more at lightthenight.org/TN. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on the Vols. Take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. What sort of a chance do you give them against Ole Miss? We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mostly sunny skies for us this afternoon. Highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s. Small storm chances return to the forecast on Wednesday. Rain totals will be minimal.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing. Social Furniture on the West Side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social.
It's football season, and Social Furniture has the best lifetime guarantee motion furniture on sale now. Their sofas with recliners are push-button electric and wall-away with all colors to choose from for your comfort. Sectionals from $9.99, recliners from $3.99. Sectionals with Chase Lounge and all-electric recliners from $19.99. Social Furniture will have you football ready with all furniture that are plus leather, microfiber, and there's no waiting, and take home your new motion furniture today or with their same-day fine furniture delivery. Social Furniture has no down payments and no interest. You don't want to miss out on their best lifetime guarantee motion furniture sale going on now.
Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stiltman sent you.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a path to a dignified career. Are you a skilled electrician or lineman? Tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs? Local 429 is accepting applications for highly skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, the best training and training the best.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Yo, it's Teron Davenport here to tell you about my friends at Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and they do it all. New tires, balance, rotation, everything. Bill, a recent customer of theirs, loved the way they came to him and saved him time and money. So if you're like Bill, you like convenience, and you need some new tires, check out freedomtireguys.com. If you don't see the tires you like, give them a call, and they'll find them for you. Check them out today at freedomtireguys.com.
You know that feeling when your team adds that one player that has every skill they've been looking for? Well, it's time your business knew how it felt too. LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 770 million professionals to find the right people for your role. Then their filtering and prioritization tools help you narrow down to just the most qualified candidates for you. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn #1 in increasing the quality of hire versus leading competitors. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/sports. That's linkedin.com/sports.
Jared Stillman.
This show, if you're a listener to it, I think is educated enough to know what a good general manager is.
And Company.
At the end of the day, wins really are all that matters.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Robby and Rexrode is on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in to the NFL Game of the Week on 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. The Game of the Week this Sunday, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the New England Patriots. Kickoff set for 3:25. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube today and every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Talking Vols, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. And the question is, what sort of a chance do the Vols have in this game against Ole Miss? The line is 3.5 for Ole Miss right now. So 3.5 the line, the over-under set at 79.5 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Obviously, everyone expecting this to be an offensive showcase on Saturday for Matt Corral and that Ole Miss offense and Hendon Hooker and the Tennessee offense. What sort of a chance do you, Joe Rexrode, give Tennessee in this game to pull off, I guess, technically what would be the upset at home at Neyland Stadium?
If this is like a 13-9 game, I'm just walking out of the press box. I'm not writing a word about this dang thing. Like, what if that happens? Just like this awful defensive grinder.
I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Way,
They
right?
will be the 13-9 will be in the rearview mirror 6 minutes into the game.
Yeah, you would think, right? I mean, I just don't. As much as I like how the Vols are playing, defensively, Matt Corral
he's good.
Awfully good. Their offense is awfully good. Their defense is bad. Their defense is really bad based on what I've been able to see. I know, like the opener, they looked pretty good against Louisville. As a Kentucky fan, though, you should want to say Louisville.
Oh, no, I'll say it to...
Doesn't that tick them off?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll say it to them. But
Okay. Yeah, I just can't go Louisville.
Louisville.
Yeah. Louisville. Yeah.
There you go.
Is that better? You
Yeah.
just muted yourself.
I did.
Down
1-0.
Yep. Tennessee has a good chance to win this game, I believe, because I do think that the crowd is going to be a factor. The crowd matters again in football, and I think especially in college football, this place is going to be electric. And that place, you just can't find many places better than that when it rocks. And again, when I see it, I'm going to remind myself, 4-2 unranked team after the program has just been in the dregs for a decade plus, and here we go. So it does matter. I think it will matter, and I think Tennessee's offense is executing at such a high level. I don't expect that to stop. Now, Hendon Hooker, is he as good as Matt Corral? No. The numbers say he's as good as anybody in the SEC right now. But he is playing with a lot of confidence. The quarterback run game is really working for them when they need it. The running back situation would be one thing that I really want to know this week.
Yep.
Do they have one of those two guys ready to, be healthy and play well? They need one of those two guys.
The over-under now up to 80.5. So from 79.5 to 80.5.
We're into the 80s.
It's moving up.
Yeah.
Probably will continue to move up.
Probably.
Well, also, defensively, who do you have available? Like, you're still – it's going to be a high-scoring game. You're going to need to make some stops.
You'd like a stop or two.
Yeah, you're going to have to make some stops if you want to win this game. So, can Tyler Barron be more of a factor? Can he be healthier? Is Theo Jackson going to be available in this game? That's a big deal if he's available. So, defensively, they did a great job last week of kind of battling through all that against the South Carolina offense that's just not very threatening. This offense is way more threatening than South Carolina. It'd be nice if you're Tennessee defensively, even though the expectations for both defenses in this game are going to be pretty low. Still going to need some stops. It'd be nice to get some bodies back for the Vols.
Yeah, and you've got to, again, number 9, number 6.
Yeah.
You got to get there. I think Elijah Simmons at some point would be really nice. He's, to me, by far their best interior defensive lineman. But they have had a lot of guys like Blakely. I like how he's playing. And Butler. Those guys are, they're playing well. It's a game just like playing your offense in practice. I actually talked to Alontae Taylor yesterday on the phone for something I'm writing this week, and he's like, I've watched film of them, and it's our offense. Now, is it exactly their offense? No, but basically, so the ball's coming out fast, and it's, you have to get lined up. You would think for both defenses, at least, they've seen it a lot, so they know what they're getting into. But as we've seen with Tennessee, if you execute and the operation is totally precise, it's just hard to. What are you going to do? You can't take away the little screen, for 3-4 yards, which all of a sudden turns into one missed tackle on 7 yards, and then all of a sudden you jump it and boom, they just hit you for 50. Both teams do that to the opposition.
Lane Kiffin was asked yesterday about returning to Tennessee. He says, quote, "There's two things here. One, that's a long time ago, and two, we've done this thing. Since USC, I've gone and played USC, played against Tennessee, and played against Alabama. So it's not like all of a sudden you're going back to a place you used to coach at. Again, went there twice at Bama. Awesome place. I said something in some article last week about houses where we lived, and they asked, what was your favorite house and where you lived? And I said the house in Knoxville. They said, why? And it was a great house. Great setup with the river, but the people. Really enjoyed the people there. Still in contact with a number of them, and we'll see some of them on Saturday. So Lane Kiffin, looking forward to a homecoming on Saturday. Really enjoyed his house in Knoxville for a year.
Seems like he had a lot of fun times there and really did enjoy the people.
Yeah.
Good for you, Lane.
Way to go, Lane.
What is it like? It doesn't matter, but like this idea that I heard last year when they were still looking for a coach, like there's just some people in Knoxville that are like, no way. Who would that be? And at this point in 2021, why would that be?
That was 2009.
Right.
It's a long time ago. Number one, like Lane Kiffin still says some crazy stuff every now and then.
Sure.
And he'll spout off
Bless
at the
his
mouth,
heart. Yeah.
which I've grown to really enjoy. But I think it's also fair to say he's grown up a little bit the last decade plus, and he's not really the same crazy guy running around like he was in 2009 in Knoxville. He's not Joey Freshwater.
As far as we know. There's a different name. But, yeah, I mean, is that what it is? Is it just some, like – because it's not like – I mean, the administration's all changed over anyway, you know?
I guess. I mean, are you afraid that he's going to, like, send your program into the death penalty?
Yeah.
Like, I just –
You think he cheats any more than Pruitt did? I mean,
yeah, like – what do you think he's doing?
He cheated at the SEC appropriate level. If you could get an honest vote from the entire Tennessee fan base right now, you can have Lane Kiffin right now replace Josh Heupel. What would the percentage be?
Right now, I mean, I'd say
this
yes.
Very moment. Okay. I mean, I think the right answer is a quick yes, but I'm just wondering. What percentage of the Tennessee fan base would be like, no, either because, whatever, hatred for Lane / the hype train.
The hype train the last 2 weeks is pretty – it's up there,
tracks.
man. The hype train's high last couple of weeks.
Hey, they should be excited about what they're seeing right now.
They should.
So what's the percentage?
I'd say it's still around 65, 70%. Say yes.
That low?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
You think that 30 to 35% of people would say, nope, I want Heupel. Get Kiffin out of here.
Yep.
Holy.
Well, I think
maybe you're right. Maybe.
I think there are some people that still feel like Adam does on the text line where they just despise Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, that's true. So that's part of it.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be interesting. Like, how many hearts and minds have already been won over, by Heupel to the extent to be like, Lane, thank you, but no thank you.
I've seen some on Twitter.
I
knew it wouldn't take long.
Well, again, it's just the whole, like, the last coach never did. We never won a game with him. We never got a first down with Pruitt. We never made a tackle.
Well, they didn't get a whole lot of first downs.
Well, yeah, this is true. This is true.
But he knew where the first down marker was. That's good.
Yeah, he tried to educate people. He tried. I'm sure Blake's figured it out.
What's your percentage?
See, I would still say it's something like 85%, and that
Maybe.
most of the 15% would be just like the Lane haters.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. It is one of those things. Just like everybody we'll see. There's probably going to be some bad Saturdays here coming up.
Yeah.
Right. Probably. I mean, I think the Georgia.
There are going to be.
Yeah, but look, even I will tell you that I'm even like kind of intrigued. Like I'm looking at that Bama game, like, gosh, they might put some points on the board in that game. Now
They're going to give up 1,000.
They're going to give up plenty. They're going to lose. The Georgia game could be ugly. So it's like calm down. Don't get too excited right now, and then don't get too disappointed when it goes that way. Just understand it's year one. There's some good stuff happening right now.
They were up at halftime last year against Georgia. You remember that?
Oh. At that point, at that very moment, Jeremy Pruitt, and you know what? Sign him to another extension, Phil. Another one right now. I want double his salary right now. Yeah. We are going to bite the whatever.
Yes.
Out of people.
That's right.
Whatever Phil said. It's incredible. Like, since that moment. Well, from that moment to the end of the year. Like, oh,
just
gosh.
Total collapse. When we come back, we'll be joined by John Glennon from SI.com. We'll get his thoughts on the Titans as they look ahead this week to the Bills. That's up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Take us wherever you may go.
There are two guys on my untouchable list.
Shoot us in anywhere, anytime.
Every team's got those. That's my point.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Preds Report.
Predators General Manager David Boyle appointed a new assistant yesterday, Scott Nickel. Longtime Predators player, longtime member of their player development staff, has been named assistant general manager. They also had to do some roster cut down to get ready for the opening of the season on Thursday night. Predators sent forward Igor Afanasyev and defenseman Jeremy Davies to the Milwaukee Admirals. The club's roster now down to 24. Meantime, the Predators will be opening against the expansion Seattle Kraken on Thursday. The Kraken, who open their season tonight in Las Vegas, have 5 players on the COVID protocol list. Pre-game show at 6 o'clock with Darren McFarland. Join Hal Gill and me for all the action on the Fifth Third Bank, Nashville Predators Radio Network.
For exclusive, in-depth coverage of your Nashville Predators, this is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Get a great deal on the versatile, powerful Kubota M-Series tractors and hay tools. It's everything you need to mow, rake, bale, lift, and more. And right now, you can write it off a lot and write it off your taxes. Right now, get 0 down and 0% APR for 60 months, plus save up to $3,000. Now through December 31st. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House.
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops with Mizuno irons and wedges. The JPX 921 Hot Metal Pro, Tour, and Forged irons offer Mizuno's fastest ball speeds ever. And the new T22 wedges feature 4 different sole grinds for varying techniques and conditions. Come in and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Zines First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Sail on in to Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, hour number 3 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning, talking Titans. And to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend John Glennon from SI.com. Johnny, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys this fine morning?
We are doing great. Appreciate you taking time to join us. John, we heard earlier in the show the absolute battle between yourself and Rexrode yesterday to get a question off to Mike Vrabel. Take us through. What did you see on that play? What was that battle like, and how did you out-muscle Rexrode in the end?
What did Pro Football Focus say your question rating was, too?
It gave me a pretty high rating for my response there, I got to say. Rexrode, I think Rexrode I'll give him credit for maybe getting a little head start there, but I gave him a quick elbow to the solar plexus as he got about 5 words into the end of the question. I think that slowed him. You know, it stopped his momentum for just a little bit, and I jumped right in there, and I think I stunned him with my quickness on the follow question, and in the end, I think he just backed down. He was frankly a little scared. In my opinion, and I took the initiative and I asked the question.
Yeah, well, I mean, you only asked 23 questions per presser, so I knew I didn't want to deprive you of 24. So I let you go first.
You never know.
So whose question was better, Robby?
Glennon's.
Yeah, okay. All right, we'll be nice to the guest.
Despite your own promotion of your own question as being better.
I actually think I legitimately think my question was better than yours. I genuinely do. I'm not, but that's okay. I mean,
We'll take a poll.
We should do an online
put
poll.
one up.
I'll get one going.
Yes. I think, with Harold Landry, the question I have is, and of course, this whole thing is about us asking someone who's probably not going to give us an answer, and he really didn't. But, do the sacks mean Harold Landry is better, or is that just a product? He happens to be getting some, but he's better on a consistent basis. You see what I'm saying?
I do. I see what you're saying. I think maybe I'm leaning a little bit toward Harold Landry's future pocketbook when I say sacks are better for him because,
yes.
I mean, let's face it, in the end, you can say all you want about pressures and hurries and things like that, but the guys who get paid for the most part are the guys who rack up the sack numbers. So I think it's great for Harold Landry, maybe not necessarily for the Titans bank account, but great for Harold Landry that he's having a career year in this contract year. But yeah, I think overall in terms of the rush, I think he's better than he has been. We're seeing even more. Take away the sacks, you say. I still think we're seeing even more productivity in terms of hurries, in terms of moving quarterbacks and so forth. The one area probably of Harold Landry's game that he'd like to improve, and he doesn't do it a lot, but coverage has not necessarily been a strength, and that's probably because he doesn't often find himself in coverage. But we saw him give up the touchdown pass last Sunday, and I think the pass coverage numbers aren't great for Harold Landry so far this year. But let's face it, he's not in there to cover for the most part. He's in there to get after the quarterback.
So, John, give me your state of the union on the Titans. They're 3-2, pretty handily in first place in the AFC South right now, given the way the Colts collapsed last night on Monday Night Football. So, a lot to like about this Titans team and the situation they're in. But I think a lot of room for concern as well. Your state of the union on the Titans as they sit here today at 3-2, staring down the barrel of a Monday night matchup against the Bills.
Yeah, well, my state of the union is we're going to find out a whole lot about this team, not only Monday night, but I think in the next month, when they're taking on Buffalo, Kansas City, and then traveling at Indy and at the Rams as well. I think we're going to find out whether this team is kind of like, okay, we're the best team in the AFC South, but how much does that mean, relatively speaking, or whether this team is going to be a team that can compete with the, whether it's the Ravens or the Bills or the Chiefs or Chargers, whoever in the AFC South, down the line. So, offensively, state of the union, what can you say about Derrick Henry that hasn't been said? But this is a team that needs to balance that Derrick Henry attack with a passing attack. I still think teams are saying, we don't think you can beat us with the passing attack. We're going to stack, 8 defenders in the box the majority of the time. We're going to try to slow down Derrick Henry as best as possible and go ahead. Even if you've got A.J. Brown, and Julio Jones, we still haven't seen that you can beat us in a passing game yet. So that's the challenge offensively, I think, is to get more involved in the passing attack. Defensively, you still take shots at the Titans' defense, but this is a defense that actually made some pretty significant strides in areas like red zone defense, third down defense, and even sacks from last year. So, we all know it was a low bar from last year, but certainly this Titans defense is better. Now, if they can get both both run defense and pass defense working together on a Sunday, that's when they're in good shape. We saw the script flipped last Sunday. Most of the time this year, it's been a difficulty for the Titans in the passing game. They've been pretty good against the run, but things got flipped against the strong rushing team. They were pretty solid against the pass, so they need to get both elements of that defense working. That's my state of the union, and I'm standing by it.
Well done.
That's pretty sunshiny, John. I'm going with Vrabel, who apparently last night at his coach's show said, play like we did against Jacksonville, we're going to lose by 3 touchdowns to the Bills. Then I'm like, why wouldn't you say that at your presser with us? Maybe it's because we stink at asking questions. I don't know, but you're right. Like, you go through all those things with the defense, and yes, they are better. And they did
low bar, admittedly a low bar last year.
Yes. Now they're better, but I still think they're pretty bad. I guess my question for you would be, because and of course, speaking of Rabel, he was asked probably a few different ways, like about Rashaan Evans yesterday, and I think it's obvious Rashaan Evans was the guilty party on certainly the big run and a couple of the other runs. I mean, he hasn't played well, I think, the last couple of years. So, question for you: Bud Dupree comes back, Amani Hooker comes back, that's probably your best case, and then I guess you hope that Christian Fulton isn't out long. But how much better do you think this defense can be?
Yeah, I still think there's certainly room for growth at some key positions like cornerback. They're so young at cornerback outside of Jack Rabbit. Fulton, we've seen Fulton take some significant strides. Farley, is a work in progress, not because of his skill level, but just because he's had so few practice reps, so few game reps. It's going to take a while on the learning curve. So I think there can be improvement there, certainly. You certainly, as you pointed out, you're worried about some injury situations too, whether that's outside linebacker, so many guys are down, or inside linebacker as well now. Rashaan, I don't think was fully healthy for a lot of that game. Not that excuses going in the wrong gaps and so forth. But Jayon Brown out as well, and Monty Rice, I think, got dinged up a little bit. So you're really dealing, with some thin spots also for the Titans now, and I think on defense especially, that's where it stings.
John Glennon from SI.com on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. John, obviously, offensively, you missed A.J. Brown not being at full strength, no Julio last week, and those two guys are going to be critical for this Titans offense to be what they can be. From a protection standpoint, did you see a significant improvement with the Titans against Jacksonville? And I guess your confidence level in the offensive line as they move forward into obviously a really good Buffalo front, and then later down the road, that Colts front and that L.A. Rams front as well. Lots of tough tests for the offensive line coming up.
There really are, and oddly enough, they did give up the 3 sacks last game, which is not great. But I do think overall there was some improvement despite that number in the pass protection. The number of pressures was greatly reduced. From the previous week. I'll resort to Joe Rexrode's favorite statistical analysis, Pro Football Focus.
PFF.
Only allowed the Titans only allowed 9 pressures in that game. You look back at the previous week, certainly against the Jets. I think 2 guys on the offensive line both had over 9 pressures allowed by themselves. So I think there were some strides made in that department. What is a little bit puzzling to me, I think that maybe the biggest question on that line is kind of what's going on with Nate Davis. Right guard who certainly seemed to be coming along and moving in the right direction up until this season, but it's seemingly taken some steps back there, and I'm not sure why. I think he's been one of the few guys that has been primarily healthy, through training camp and so forth, but seems to have taken a step back, allowed more pressures and so forth that we've seen. I like the way Taylor Lewan is progressing. I think he is moving certainly in the right direction, but then you also have concerns next to Taylor Lewan because Roger Saffold, as good as he is when he is healthy, he has had trouble finishing games now. And Mike Vrabel, I guess, if you kind of read between the lines yesterday, I thought when Mike Vrabel was talking about Roger Saffold, it sounded as if, maybe he gets shut down for a short amount of time. Mike Vrabel was asked, how do you deal with that? Do you take Roger Saffold knowing that maybe he can't finish games, or do you, maybe, adjust things there? And to me, it sounded as if maybe it's time to give Roger Saffold a little bit of a break and allow him to come back healthier. So certainly I think that has to be a concern on the offensive line as well.
And if that's the case, I guess you're going with last-second waiver wire pickup Corey Levin over second-round pick Dylan. Obviously they did Sunday. I suppose that would be the plan moving forward. That would be tough because I agree, John. I think they did take a step. Now the Jets are better, for sure than the Jags up front. The Jags sent a lot of pressures at the Titans, and they, I think for the most part, handled it pretty well. Probably helps to have A.J. Brown and Marcus Johnson on the field, right? I mean, just being able – that's another thing Vrabel said yesterday, kind of snuck in there, but I think he's kind of made it clear in New York, like they didn't have receivers who could win, you know? And they did Sunday, and now maybe if you add Julio to the mix, it starts to look like what we thought this offense might look like. Who do you think is more likely back this week, and who's more important, Julio Jones or Bud Dupree?
Well, we've seen Bud Dupree at least practicing. He practiced. I want to say he had 2 full practices last week. So I think he is closer from that respect. I think the whole question comes down to, are you bringing him back at 60, 70, 75%, whatever it might be, or do you wait another week or so and reduce the risk of aggravating the injury and make him, a healthier player as well? So I think he's probably closer just from the aspect that he has been practicing. I do think Julio Jones has been making some strides, and we're not too terribly far away, I don't think. Let's remember the Titans did not put him on IR, so, I think the feeling was that he's not going to be out for a long time. But, right now, Julio Jones is kind of at that stage where you have to at least start asking questions a little bit about, whether these are some chronic injuries, after missing the amount of games he did in Atlanta last year, training camp. There were certainly issues. He was at about 3 weeks, and we've missed games already this year. Is this just a bad stretch for Julio, or is this something that, now at the age of 32, that the Titans are going to have to worry about a little bit more frequently? So I think there's a little bit of concern there, but certainly it would be great for Titans fans to see Julio and AJ back at full strength. We really haven't seen, the offense that was expected and highly anticipated so far, and hopefully we'll see that in the near future here.
John Glennon from SI.com, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. John, appreciate you taking time to join us, and keep out muscling Rexrode at these press conferences. We enjoy it.
I got those elbows sharpened up for him.
Got to get that question 24 in, because 23 wasn't enough.
It was always the 24 rule.
Yeah, that's right. John, we appreciate you, man.
Okay, thanks, guys.
John Glennon from SI.com. We'll come back. We'll react to what John had to say there. Take your thoughts on the Titans on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Tune in all day Thursday as we get you set for the Nashville Predators season opener against the Seattle Kraken. We'll be giving away tickets to the opener every single hour throughout the day and unveil a special programming announcement at 8:30 during Robby and Rexrode. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Some people think fall is the best time of the year. It may also be a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Sail on into Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Listen to the MLB postseason on ESPN 1025 The Game and ESPN 94.9. Brought to you by 312 Pizza Company. 312 Pizza Company is your authentic Chicago-style pizzeria. Head to theGameNashville.com for up-to-date game times.
With confusion around vaccinations, masks, and public screenings, it's important to know the symptoms of COVID and its variants. Fever is the leading sign, so make sure you use an accurate thermometer for your family. Only the Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer has been proven accurate with more than 100 clinical studies. Non-contact thermometers have no clinical evidence behind them and cannot be relied on. Be vigilant and be accurate with Exergen. Learn more at Exergen.com.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
1025 The Game has your chance to win Preds tickets during the month of October. Just post a picture of your radio dial set to 1025 The Game on social media, tag the game, and use hashtag TicketDash to be instantly qualified to win. Show us your dash, brought to you by Social Furniture. Support local, support social. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, now with 2 locations in Murfreesboro. Visit their brand new Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Thanks to John Glennon from SI.com for joining us in the last segment. We're going to have Mike Golick Jr. coming up next to get his thoughts on the world of college football and the NFL. Mike Golick Jr. on the call for the Tennessee game the other day as well. So good stuff coming up at 8:30 with him. Right now, taking your thoughts on our text line. Matt from Camden texting in. Julio is more important than Dupree because the Titans are at least getting some kind of pass rush, but our passing game is missing those dynamic plays. When Julio comes back, it will hopefully open things up a bit more. So, Joe Rexrode, you asked the question to Glennon. I'll ask it to you. The more important player to get back against the Bills, Julio Jones or Bud Dupree?
Oh, it's actually really hard. I don't know. I asked the question. I don't have an answer ready. I think I would lean Dupree. I understand. I mean, Landry is doing a great job. Again, last game, I thought Jeffrey Simmons made things happen. He disrupted a lot. Obviously, Tier Tart made the big play at the goal line. You know, you're talking. You know, I mean, Ola Daney's out there and he's trying, and John Simon now is out there. I just feel like having Dupree, and I agree with Glennon, maybe having him as long as like you really have him. Do you really have him? Then I think that would be bigger for this game. Of course, Josh Allen can also escape. It's not like the Kyler Murray escape, but boy, he's a heck of, it's kind of more like Lamar Jackson, you know, a guy who can really hurt you and be powerful as well as fast, getting out of there as a runner. But man, if you could have 2 people who can rush him effectively, I feel like that would be a big deal. And I just think as much as Julio Jones would help, of course, Marcus Johnson back now, with A.J. Brown back now, I mean, I think that they can still be effective in the passing game without Julio Jones.
Well, some of the answer to this question to me is going to what is A.J. Brown on Monday? I mean, you know, I think it's fair to say, you know, he was back on the field Sunday. He still didn't look quite like A.J. Brown. 3 catches, 38 yards. And look, it's been a rough go of things for A.J. Brown this year. I mean, you know, the first game, I actually thought he was one of the few that played pretty well against Arizona. I mean, the whole thing was pretty much a disaster. But, you know, had the touchdown catch when they could get the ball to him, played pretty well in that game.
Yeah.
And then he's got all the drops in the Seattle game. He barely plays against Indy because he has the hamstring injury, doesn't play against the Jets. And then you're talking last week, 3 catches for 38 yards. So, I mean, you've gotten, you know, 5 games in at this point with A.J. Brown essentially being a non-factor in your offense. Like it's important, number one, to get him completely healthy, but they got to get him going as well. So if you tell me A.J. Brown's going on Monday, then my answer is easily Bud Dupree. But if he's not, it's probably Julio Jones at that point.
Yeah, it's a good point. They need full A.J., and he was on, you know, a snap count Sunday, which he said, you know, he doesn't want to be on one, but obviously, actually, that's what another thing Vrabel was asked about yesterday and said, you know, conditioning is part of this too. Yeah. So they do need the full A.J. Brown, and that would make a big difference. And then, like Julio Jones, if he's back this week, how limited is he? I mean, this game, the Bills are playing so well. You know, this is the toughest of the 4 on paper, as far as I can tell. I mean, I think the Rams game out there also, well, shoot, the Colts game, I mean, it's a brutal stretch. But this is the team playing the best in the NFL. This is right now, I think most people would agree, the best team in the NFL currently playing, the way they're playing. So all these things could come together and you could still get thumped.
Yeah.
The Bills up front defensively against this Titans offensive line, the way they're playing, they're going to have to play a lot better.
Yep.
And obviously Derrick Henry is great, and, you know, you never count him out from having a big game. But the Bills, I think, are also built to make it tough on him.
It's a shame Josh Norman's not there anymore. Could really have some fun this week.
That is. I'm sure they'll still be. The memes will come back, though.
I'm sure they will. You know what the line is on this Bills-Titans game to start?
Like Bills by 3.5 or something? Is that what it is?
It's Bills 4.5.
It's up to 4.5.
4.5
Didn't it start
now.
at 3.5?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going up, which makes sense. So, again.
I'm kind of surprised it's not a little bit higher. But they are on the road.
Right. So that's a 3-point, supposedly. So if it was a neutral site game, then in theory it's a 7.5-point game.
Yep.
So, which, I mean, I think that's about right.
Yeah. I imagine there'll be a nice Bills contingent on Sunday as well.
On Monday.
Or, excuse me, Monday.
But probably on Sunday at the bars.
Probably everywhere.
Start pre-gaming, like Sunday afternoon, and don't stop until every folding table's destroyed in town.
Eric in Bellevue texting in. I think the Titans will be okay once they get healthy. Tannehill needs to get rid of the ball quicker, roll and use his running skills, and receivers need to work harder to get open. The offensive line need to be able to extend their blocks. I think all those things would help.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I think there are times that Tannehill's just got to let it go. Just take 3rd and 10 or second, whatever. I mean, just don't take the sack. He took 3 the other day. Well, I think it was a bigger problem against the Jets. But the receivers, they won more often against the Jags, and I think that's because they had A.J. Brown and Marcus Johnson out there.
Yep.
By the way, Shaq Griffin, I think, did a really good job on A.J. Brown. That was he talked after the game. He said, my entire day was just don't let A.J. Brown beat us. Yeah, that's basically what he said. And he only gave up 3 catches.
I still wonder how healthy A.J. Brown is in that game. But, yes, he did a great job.
Yeah. I mean, I thought on the one little drag route, he looked A.J. Brownish to me on that play. But, yeah, I mean, he's probably not all the way back. You're right. They need that. They need the full A.J. Brown. Obviously, he killed the Bills last year in Tuesday night? In the Tuesday night game last year.
Great matchup.
Yeah. The game that I thought the Bills were going to come in and thump them, by the way.
Yes.
We all did. Or most of us did.
Andrew on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Does Julio coming back fix the pass blocking? Go with Bud. Trade Julio to the Raiders for Darren Waller while the Raiders are on fire.
There you go.
Move him out.
Actually, though, to answer your question, it actually does. I mean, the thing is, if you have receivers, so it's a couple things. One, they can win against press coverage. 2, they probably see less of it because they actually strike fear in defenses.
Yeah.
That does help your pass blocking. Now, obviously, if you just get blown up and you go Olay and Jeff Swaim, here you go, hit my quarterback, then then that's a problem. But some of those Jet sacks, they gave him somewhat of a pocket for some period of time, and then he looked and looked, and then it got gobbled up. Probably should have thrown it away. But that's receivers not winning. They're going to be, quick access throws are available when you have a full, healthy A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, because teams don't want to get beat over the top. And if they want to be aggressive, they'll win. So it does help your pass protection, absolutely. But you may still be right on Dupree, which is what my pick was too, because I just think every defensive playmaker you can have in this game, you need those guys.
This Friday, it's your chance to participate in the Nashville SC Pick to Click, brought to you by Camarena Tequila. If you guess correctly which player scores a goal in the game Saturday, you win a 4-pack of tickets to an upcoming Nashville SC home game. Participate this Friday morning at 9:45. When we come back, we'll be joined by Mike Golick Jr. from ESPN. Get his thoughts on the Vols. He was on the call for the Vols game on Saturday, and a wild weekend in college football. All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Yossi from the circle. He scores! Roman Yossi scores in overtime.
Thursday night, Roman Yossi and the Predators begin their season on home ice against the Seattle Kraken. Pre-game at 6, face-off at 7 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's the Monday night giveaway. Be caller number 3 right now at 615-737-1025, and you'll qualify to win a pair of tickets to see Monday Night Football in Nashville on October 18th. Keep listening for your next chance to qualify
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The NHL is on TNT tomorrow night at 6:30 Central with the New York Rangers and Washington Capitals, followed by the Colorado Avalanche and Chicago Blackhawks. Watch every Wednesday.
Announcing a rare opportunity for huge savings if you're in the market for replacement windows or doors. Saturday, October 23rd, Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is having an open house, offering 10% off all merchandise. That even includes 10% off their current special offers. Mark your calendar and stop by the Pella Windows and Doors in Cool Springs, October 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for these great deals. Bring your measurements or snap a picture of your replacement needs and come to Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Hockey season is in full swing, and there's no better place to bet the NHL than on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. NHL parlays are a perfect way to make every shot feel like a hat trick. You can turn a little bet into a big payday. And all season long, FanDuel is giving every customer NHL parlay insurance. You'll get up to $25 back each day if your parlay falls one leg short. Don't have a FanDuel account? Sign up now using promo code JGM to place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. FanDuel is always hooking you up with great odds and exclusive offers. Plus, when you win, you'll get paid in as little as 24 hours. This season, make every moment more and bet on the NHL with FanDuel Sportsbook. And remember, promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Parlay insurance max refund $25 per day. Risk-free bet for first online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. For parlay insurance and 14-day risk-free bet. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Bank of England Mortgage has been helping Americans live the dream of home ownership for over 100 years. Since their humble beginnings in England, Arkansas in 1898, they've grown into a nationwide mortgage lender with 141 offices across 45 states, including 3 locations here in Middle Tennessee. BOE delivers outstanding products and the best service in the industry, including competitive rates and the most knowledgeable professional loan officers in Nashville. Go to BOE1214.com to find out more. Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC, and MLS 418481.
Home of the Tennessee Titans, CMA Fest, sold-out stadium tours, Nissan Stadium has seen it all, or so we thought. February 26, 2022 will be the site of the first ever outdoor NHL game in Tennessee as the Nashville Predators host the defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. The 2022 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series game is coming to Smashville. You want in? Visit NashvillePredators.com/Stadium Series for more info.
Hey, it's Jared Stillman. Guys, are you tired of feeling old? You know that feeling. You don't have any energy. You're gaining pounds. Well, guess what? My friends at Invigorate Health are the ones to help you. They don't just focus on one area of the aging body. They take care of all of it with so many different therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you specifically in mind. So give them a try. Invigorate Health if you want to feel young again. Out in Mount Juliet at 615-288-4777 or invigoratehealthtn.com.
Tonight, it's the Nashville Predators season preview show, hosted by Darren McFarland, Pete Weber, and Hal Gill, getting you set for the upcoming season in Smashville. Tune in tonight at 6 on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN, 102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, Nashville? This is Stephen A. Smith. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezevic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Talking a little college football. And to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Mike Golick Jr. from ESPN. Mike, what's going on, brother? How are we doing?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you guys having me.
Well, we appreciate you joining us this morning. And, Mike, obviously you were on the call on Saturday in Knoxville for the Vols game. What stood out to you about the Vols, particularly the offensive explosion in the first half? What was it like to watch the Vols operate in person like that?
Yeah, it's what you expected when you brought Josh Heupel over here, right? This was, and I know for a lot of people, going back even another week against Missouri, that was what everyone thought, kind of the tip of the iceberg for this thing. And I think what stands out to me is really, and relevant to this week, the same thing that stood out when I got to cover Ole Miss against Tulane 3 weeks prior was when you've got a quarterback that things have slowed down for, and I think that's the case with Hendon Hooker right now. He's seeing the picture really well, operating at the pace that they want to play at here. It makes all the difference in the world here. It makes life so much easier for everyone else when you've got a quarterback that is going to make sure this hot potato football is getting distributed to the weapons in the spots where they can make things happen. And you've seen, I think, going into the game this weekend, they were 8th in yards after the catch for their receivers in this passing game. That, to me, is a direct product of a quarterback that understands where you got to go with the football, dictated by the look the defense gives you. So Hendon Hooker playing really great ball now that they have settled in on him as the guy at that position.
Okay, so you've seen both of these teams in person, Mike. Who do you like Saturday? Do you like either defense to get a stop Saturday?
Yeah, so that's going to be the real crux of this, and I think that's what was interesting to me about Ole Miss's defense is when you talk to them, Lane Kiffin, who's an offensive-minded head coach, came in and said, all right, Arkansas gave us a ton of trouble in 2020. Intercepted Matt Corral 6 times, was a real turning point game for them. And so they shifted some things around with their defensive personnel. They put a 6th defensive back on the field, one more than we see even in the most spread-out version of modern football in college and the NFL. And they started going downhill and attacking a little bit more. I think that defense, for me, is the one I'm curious to watch because they play with their hair on fire in a lot of ways up front. Chance Campbell, their linebacker, who is the Maryland transfer, led that team in tackles in 2021, has made a big difference. Sam Williams, number 7, is the D lineman everyone's going to need to keep an eye on in this game because if you're not careful, he can wreck your game. And so all of those things said, I would give a slight edge in favor of Ole Miss's defense, but it's one of those things where these offenses, if a quarterback is playing the way these two are, there are very few things short of having the bodies that Alabama and Georgia do on defense that are going to make you right against these units.
Well, Mike, obviously the tempo offense is obviously not a new thing in college football, but the way that Josh Heupel and even Lane Kiffin, they run it so quickly. I guess as your defense in the SEC trying to adjust to not only just the speed of it, but really the warp speed that Josh Heupel tries to go at. What's that challenge like of trying to adjust to that tempo, especially when early in the game, like they've done the last couple of weeks, Tennessee has been able to generate a lot of momentum?
Yeah, I think, and in talking to a lot of defensive coordinators, the one thing you can't let it do is take you out of most of your stuff. Like, I'm all for you've got to simplify the package so that your defense can communicate well on the field. But I thought South Carolina's undoing against Tennessee was it took them way too long to get aggressive. In the second half of that game, part of it was Tennessee taking their foot off the gas. The other part of it was South Carolina finally said, all right, we're going to have our defensive backs come up to the line and challenge these wide receivers, not give Zayless Jones a bunch of easy 8-yard cushions that he can turn into kick returns. They finally started blitzing Hendon Hooker in this offense up front. Like, you still have to do all of those things if you were a defense going up against tempo. So I think that's a big part of it is simplifying doesn't mean taking away the aggression, taking away the teeth from your defense. And I think the other part of it is just personnel. Like, if you're a team, Tennessee built well up front, big bodies on that offensive line that have really started to be able to lean in on people. If you can combine all of those things, then personnel-wise, you've got to be able to match up. That's why when these tempo teams play Georgia and Alabama and these teams that have all-world bodies in the defensive front, and they can just put 4 or 5 guys in the box to handle the line of scrimmage and commit all the rest of those resources to the passing attack, life gets a little harder because at the end of the day, this is still football, and you still got to move people. And if the other side can do that better, then all this tempo just means the other team's offense is going to get the ball quicker.
So, Mike, transitioning to a coach Tennessee used to covet, and I would think no one would covet at this point. How stunned were you to see things the way they unfolded here with John Gruden in the past few days, and where do you think it goes from here?
Where it goes is the interesting part because this is all because of an investigation into the Washington football team. And when you see 650,000 emails, my thought is immediately, I don't think these are the only bad ones in there, just based on the tone and tenor of this conversation. The fact that Bruce Allen was apparently in this on his work email and felt comfortable enough in saying all these things to do that in a way that, I mean, forget not condoning any of this ever, but also to just be so brazen with it that you would be in there on a work email saying, yeah, I don't even have to go mask off here. I'll just never put it on. So I think this feels like it could still have a lot more to the story. And for John Gruden, I think we saw in his first apology yesterday, when the comments were strictly about the racial comments that he made about D. Smith, the head of the NFLPA, his comments sounded like someone who wanted to be done talking about this because he was done talking about this, because he didn't see any issue with what he said. And when you saw what appeared to be a lack of genuine contrition from John Gruden and someone who almost seemed annoyed that he had to talk about it, the rest of what happened and what followed here became a lot less surprising, especially the way that we were going to respond to this. So I think the NFL is at an interesting crossroads where it has professed to be about a lot of things, professed to be about inclusion, about diversity, and about supporting those endeavors and the people that are becoming more and more fans of this game, a more diverse and inclusive fan base. They've said a lot of things. It's going to be interesting to see now, as their feet are put to the flames, what they actually do about those things to show people we are serious about making football a space for everybody, not just some people.
Mike Golick Jr. from ESPN on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Mike, one of the things that makes college football so great is sometimes something happens out of nowhere that you don't see coming. And at least for me, that was the case on Saturday night for Alabama against Texas A&M. What a game that was. What a win for Jimbo Fisher and that A&M program. And I guess as you've watched Alabama this year, do you think they can recover from this? Do you think they're still going to be in the conversation and in the playoff at the end of the day? How do you think things go from here for Nick Saban and Alabama?
Oh, yeah, they're still going to be very much controlling their own destiny, I think, in all of this, because they still in a situation right now where they can go out and in conferences go out here and say, all right, we got to just win our side of this thing and then end up playing Georgia in the SEC championship game. And so far, they still sit at first place in the SEC West. And so if they go forward and keep handling their business on that side of the division, they're going to get to play likely Georgia in the SEC championship game. And if they win that game, they're going to put both of those teams in the playoffs. So I think they still control their own destiny. I think this, for me, was really more about Texas A&M finally playing like the team that we were promised under Jimbo Fisher in 2021. This was supposed to be a culmination of top 5 recruiting classes. This was supposed to be a talented team offensively and defensively, and we finally got the Mike Elko defense that can have galaxy brain, like Brent Venables level pressures coming at you from all areas of the field. We got a marquee performance from their quarterback, and so to me, this was, all right, maybe Alabama doesn't do any one thing great at an elite level like we've seen in the past with their offense or defense. This was just as much about the talent for Texas A&M finally living up to what we were sold before the season.
So the Big Ten has 5 of the top 10 teams for the first time ever. I ask you from SEC country, Mike, is the Big Ten that good?
Yes, I think the Big Ten is that good. I think we've probably got the order of these teams a little bit mixed up as to who is probably the best of that bunch. Like, I think after the Oregon loss, we kind of just threw Ohio State to the side and said, oh, there's no way this team can be good this year. Like, that's still a whole bunch of freakishly talented people and great coaching in a room that we're eventually going to figure this out. And at least offensively, they've kept on doing that. So when I look, Iowa's sitting at 2 right now because their record says they've earned that so far. Their defense has played at that level. Do I think they're the second best team in the country? No, absolutely not. Michigan's been trending well this season. Penn State has survived in a lot of instances very well, and now with their injury at quarterback to Sean Clifford, depending on how far that goes, it's going to be interesting. So we're going to find out. Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and Michigan State all got to play each other down the stretch of the season. So this is going to sort itself out. I have a hunch when it's all said and done, Ohio State is still going to be the team standing at the top of that heap.
Mike, we really appreciate you taking time to join us here today on the show, and looking forward to continuing your coverage down the road here in college football season. Going to be a wild finish to this season.
It's been one of the crazier seasons we've had in a while. Looking forward to it, fellas. Thanks.
Absolutely. Mike Golick Jr. from ESPN, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll come back. We'll react a little bit to what Mike had to say there. Take your thoughts as well on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
from the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Temperatures this morning are in the 60s under partly cloudy skies. A few showers will linger this morning, mainly east of I-65, but we'll clear those out by the noon hour.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
This game's gonna be good.
Definitely.
Loser buys?
Sure.
Hey, 2 Dos Equis on this guy.
The game hasn't even started.
And yet, somehow it's already over.
Okay.
A dose of certainty. Brought to you by Dos Equis, proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
It's all about getting them something that they're not going to be able to get anywhere else at the best prices with the best warranty.
Meet Genesis Diamonds owner Boaz Ramon.
At Genesis Diamond, we never ever lost a sale due to price, quality, selection, or customer service.
What's the Genesis secret? It starts with offering hand-picked GIA certified diamonds.
I'm very proud to say our GIA hand-selected diamonds are one of the largest diamond inventory anywhere in the country.
And then there are the rings. Thousands and thousands of handcrafted unique rings from all the top designers. So at Genesis, you don't have to settle for a knockoff or generic ring. You can get her the ring of her dreams and still stay in budget.
Because of our great buying power of the diamond and also great buying power for the designers, the package deal for the consumer is a win-win situation.
Genesis Diamonds.
I love what I do.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
My accent is always on value.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment made between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use. Only down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Treating erectile dysfunction with acoustic wave therapy has been getting a lot of attention lately. But you should know that some are promising results we just haven't seen and charging a lot of money for the treatments as well. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. And if you're looking at acoustic wave therapy or any option to help your ED, you really should call us first. Unlike wave therapy only clinics, the Tennessee Men's Clinic wave therapy protocols do use acoustic wave technology. But we also often combine it with other treatments that can give most of our patients far higher satisfaction rates. There is no surgery nor any type of invasive procedure required. And even better, depending on your treatment strategy and with our urologist and provider's guidance, you can likely have sex the day after your appointment. We even have other treatments that can help you last up to an hour. Plus, for a limited time, we're waiving our normal appointment charge, which includes a PSA and T test, and offering a free ultrasound, altogether nearly a $400 value for free. So make an appointment today. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
Darren McFarland.
That should get you in the mood for a game tonight.
Willie Donick.
I think between 5.5 and 6 is probably in the ballpark.
Chase McCabe.
Typically, I like to take the most difficult task and do it first.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Play silly underdog picks today. Pick 3 football underdog teams you think will win this week for a chance to win. Go to GameNashville.com for more details and to play. Silly underdog picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Visit VolStateBank.com to learn more about their free Kasasa checking account. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you. We'll be joined by our good friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports to begin the 9 o'clock hour. We'll get hot and heavy into the John Gruden situation with him coming up at 9 o'clock. So looking forward to that conversation. Did you see Danny White's tweet yesterday? Athletic
about
director.
Checkerboarding the stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, you remember the press conference when Danny White got here and was talking about the negativity, texting a buddy. Danny White had a little fun with that on Twitter yesterday. Apparently, they're going to Checker Neyland Stadium on Saturday night for the game against Ole Miss. That has worked with varying degrees of success in the past when they've done that, a lot of which have been bad. But the tweet yesterday from Danny White, quote, "All right, I'm in. Go ahead and text your buddies, Vol Nation. This Saturday, we checker Neyland." So
Nice.
Danny White having a little fun.
There you go. Good.
On the Twitter.
I like it. Text a buddy is going to be something that, people remember. So
Yes,
he may as well embrace it and, make it his own.
Yes. Is the Big Ten really that good? Were you asking Mike Golick Jr. that question to set it up to for the Big Ten to be that good and to really rile up SEC Nation here?
I just know SEC fans hate the Big Ten, vice versa. I don't know the Big Ten's that good. They're obviously. I think Michigan and Michigan State are both surprises. I think they're both good, but I don't think either of those teams is like a playoff caliber team.
No,
I don't really think that about Iowa either. Iowa's probably going to get to the Big Ten title game undefeated, so it's kind of problematic. Because the thing is, the Big Ten East is about to start, as Mike said, beating up on each other. Penn State, Michigan State, Ohio State, Michigan, all about to start playing each other. And so there's going to be carnage over there. And Iowa's going to, trounce Wisconsin and end up in Indy in the Big Ten title game. It's kind of a problem for other playoff hopefuls, although I think that if Iowa does that, and then I think Mike's probably right that Ohio State ultimately is just going to start looking more and more like Ohio State and be the best team.
Probably, although I will say that Penn State defense is still really good.
Penn State is the team, and I'm very interested if they get Clifford back. I think they could get Ohio State. That's just a tough loss for them because it would have been a huge win, obviously, and they were better. They are better than Iowa. Just period. But then you lose your quarterback, and hey, Iowa played the game in front of it and won. So good for Iowa. The question to me is if Iowa wins out, and again, they have Wisconsin left. Yeah, they got Nebraska, and actually Nebraska has become. Nebraska almost beat Michigan and Michigan State. They really probably should have beat both of them.
But to your point, it's Purdue, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Minnesota, Illinois, Nebraska.
Where's the Nebraska game?
It's at Nebraska.
Yeah, so. Because that's like teams like Cincinnati and they need Iowa to stumble. If Iowa wins out and then Ohio State just crushes them and gives them their one loss in the Big Ten title game, they still get in. It's gonna that's an interesting. We don't know the other situations, but that's an interesting profile for a team because I don't think that they're that good. But
then you'd be talking about a 12-1. Big Ten team at that point.
Right.
They'd have a case.
They'd have a case. Oh, they'd have a case. And I think if they lost a really good game, I think they'd have a really strong case.
Now, a lot of that would depend at that point on, what happens with Alabama, Georgia. If Alabama runs the table the rest of the way and Georgia ends up undefeated, which I think they will, if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC title game and you got a one-loss Bama who beat Georgia, and a one-loss Georgia whose only loss is to Alabama, both those teams are getting in. Yes. So what do you do with Iowa at that point if they lose? They're probably out.
Yeah. They're probably out. If Oklahoma, which was getting blown out, and then that game was
I can't believe they won that game.
Outrageous.
They're not that good.
No, but if they're undefeated, which they certainly may be, they'd probably be in over Iowa. And then where's Cincinnati in all this? I tell you what, it was big for Cincinnati that Notre Dame somehow found a way, in typical luck of the Irish fashion, to beat Virginia Tech the other night. Because that's they've got to have Notre Dame win out.
They do, and I look, I want to see them in there, but I can already see the scenario where they're not going to be.
Oh yeah, no, they've got to have things. They need an Oklahoma to lose. They need an Iowa to lose to Wisconsin or Nebraska.
And I will say, Oklahoma. The schedule, it's not great for them or not great for everybody else coming down the stretch because the Big 12 is just not very good. But they've played really poorly most of the season and then found a way to win. I don't know that I've ever seen, and maybe ever is a strong word, but the preseason Heisman hype for somebody and what we've actually seen on the field for Spencer Rattler, who, by the way, got replaced the other day.
Benched.
It's not great.
No, he hasn't been good, and they've almost lost a bunch of games, including the game to Tulane. So, but undefeated Oklahoma at the end of it all.
Oh yeah,
it's it's still going to be a team that's right there. So
maybe Oklahoma State can get them.
They could.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas should have. I mean, a lot. They could get gotten a couple times still down the stretch.
Kansas.
Well, maybe. Hoop season is close, though. Hoop season is close.
It is. It's been a wild year in college football. I mean, it really has. I mean, the Pac-12, everybody's just kind of forgotten about it now with Oregon losing. I don't know if they're going to find a way to get their way back in. But, like, if it's a one-loss Oregon and a one-loss Ohio State, do you not look around if you're Oregon and say, hello, we went to Ohio State and beat them head-to-head. Like, that's got to count for something, right?
See, that would be a fascinating one because, yes, but what if Ohio State just starts blowing the doors off everybody? And it's like, and then the answer is, and it's probably the right answer, well, Ohio State is a much different team right now, and they're a much better team than you right now. So, sorry, but still, if I'm an Oregon fan, I'm screaming about that. What else do you want? Head-to-head in their place. Yeah, but the Pac-12 to me is like you then have to win out. You've got to be, you've got to be undefeated. And they just have an incredible knack for stymieing themselves in that league.
They do. And it continues. Like, I'm looking at the rest of the schedule for Oregon. I mean, look, they should win them all, but then again, there was Stanford, who was in a little bit of a rock fight with Vanderbilt in the first half, and they end up beating both USC and Oregon this year. Pretty incredible.
And then just gets smoked by Arizona State. Yeah. But it's funny because in that league, we perceive it as everybody dragging everyone down to mediocrity. But, like, when things like that happen in the SEC or Big Ten,
this conference is so good.
Loaded. What a league. It's loaded. But I'm sorry. That's just – I'm complaining about it, but that's how I think too.
It's going to be interesting. The Big 12, like I look at, not the Big 12, the Big 10. Like, I watch Michigan, and I think to myself, all right, that's a highly average football team that somehow found a way to win every game they've played so far.
Yeah.
Like, they're not that good.
No, I mean, they've got good backs, pretty good defense. Their quarterback's okay. Like Michigan State also, they're Michigan State does have the Heisman leader right now, Kenneth Walker, who, by the way, is from West Tennessee. Was at Wake Forest, got 912 yards. I mean, the guy is, like, going to play on Sundays next year. So they've at least got, and, the Jaden Reed's a really good receiver, but they're the same thing. I mean, they're a top 10 team undefeated. They're going to play each other in a couple weeks. I mean, they're both rankable teams. Yeah. They're probably about 15 to 20 type, or maybe even 10 to 15, but they're not real contenders, either of them, to me.
Who is the Heisman leader right now? Like, you've got –
he's one
of them.
Yeah, I mean, all the polls – I know that The Athletic, we do one every week, and I think I put him third on my thing, but he's number one on ours.
I mean, obviously Bryce Young just took a hit.
I put Desmond Ridder first. So, Ryan Porth, if you're listening, you should be very happy with that. He's my number one. I just think the way he's played in that win at Notre Dame. But yeah, so Bryce Young now falls out. I mean, Matt Corral is a candidate.
But they just got smoked against Alabama. I mean.
Right. So there's not – and usually it's a QB. It's like QB the best team. That's not going to happen this year. So actually – and we'll see. Like, if Kenneth Walker can have huge games against Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, then he could be in there.
Hendon Hooker? Hendon Hooker for Heisman?
Wow. Uh-oh.
I'm joking.
Hey, what if he goes in and just absolutely rains 450 yards on Bama in an upset win? Then I think you start talking
Full disclosure, I'm joking. Just want to point that out.
But you've opened my mind to the possibility.
The most efficient passer in the SEC.
I mean, the numbers are pretty freaking great.
Yeah,
what, 13-1?
Yeah.
Great running stats.
Yeah.
What if he just absolutely puts a number on Ole Miss Saturday?
Hey, man. I think that's pretty likely.
And they win.
They might give up a number 2.
Yeah, but that's not his fault.
That's not. Preds fans, Smashville Live returns tomorrow on 102.5 The Game. This week's guest will be Preds GM David Poyle and head coach John Hines. The show will air on Wednesdays during the Preds season from 6 to 7 p.m., featuring Preds players, former players, and other special guests. You can watch the show via 102.5 The Game's Twitch, Facebook page, YouTube, Twitter, and at thegamenashville.com. So be sure to join us this hockey season for Smashville Live. When we come back, we'll be joined by our good friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. We'll get his thoughts on Week 5 in the NFL and the John Gruden situation as well. All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Take us wherever you may go.
There is going to be a whole lot of work going on.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
The second half of the season begins. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. In search of their first SEC win of 2021, Vanderbilt football returns to the road this week with a Saturday afternoon matchup at South Carolina. Clark Lee's team is 2-4 through the first half of the season after being shut out at Florida 42-0. Coach Lee says they'll be better for the experience.
Missed opportunities in the first half offensively to create some momentum and to challenge Florida. And then in the second half, I did think our defense responded well. I thought there was some growth there.
If you want to hear Clark Lee's comments on last night's Commodore Hour, you can download it on the Anchor podcast page, and that's on Apple and Spotify. By the way, Vanderbilt is home for the next two after this week. The game on the 23rd against Mississippi State will be a 3 o'clock kickoff at the stadium, televised by the SEC Network. On the road as well for the Vandy boys. The Commodore baseball team plays exhibition games in North Carolina later this week. Friday at UNC at 2:30 Central Time, then Saturday morning at 9 against Richmond. Vandy men's golf advances to the finals in the SEC match play event at Shoal Creek in Alabama after taking 3 of 5 matches against Georgia on Monday. Wins by Michael Shears, Gordon Sargent, and Reed Davenport. The Doors will play either LSU or Arkansas with those two to resume this morning. And basketball fans who want to tee it up, head coach Jerry Stackhouse and the National Commodore Club are hosting Tip-Off at Topgolf November 7th from 6 to 9. You can get all the info at VUCommodores.com. That's the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical breakthrough. The Wave technology at Hillside Medical Clinic was tested by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic, and the results are in. It's proven to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now. And not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. I don't think I've ever seen it fail. This is a $600 value, free to those that call in the next 2 minutes. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee, talking all things NFL. And to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. Charles, what's going on? How are we doing?
I'm doing well. It was a wild day yesterday. Definitely, it was a late night. I'll put it that way.
I bet.
I would imagine that it was. So let's just start right there, Charles. Obviously, the John Gruden news coming out last night that he is resigning from the Las Vegas Raiders. We knew about the racial remarks over the weekend coming from the investigation into the Washington football team, and now way more incendiary remarks that have come out about John Gruden as well. I guess, number one, just your reaction to this story, where it goes from here, and what this means in terms of how the NFL is going to handle this, because as Joe has pointed out multiple times on the show today, probably not just a John Gruden problem when it gets down to it.
Yeah, I mean, to address what Joe said, I think that there's no doubt in my mind that a number of the attitudes that John Gruden reflected in those emails, if you were to comb through the IT department, of every single NFL team and pull emails, and, this comes out in 650,000 email review of the Washington football team franchise, you're probably going to have a lot of people that are in similar trouble at this point. I think the underlying thing here with John and what came out in those emails, and you're looking at from 2010 to 2018, right up to the point where he takes the job with the Raiders.
Yeah.
It's reflective of a lot of the attitudes that existed in the NFL up until this point, and I think still exist. And you're in a position with the NFL where I think the league is trying to transition away from a lot of those attitudes. It's trying to be more inclusive with the fan base. It's trying to be more socially conscious. I know some fans don't want to hear that, but the reality is the last few years the NFL has tried to be a more socially conscious league. It's tried to put away some of the I don't know, just some of the stances that were not open to having fans or certain individuals in the league, or courting different lifestyles, and clearly John wasn't on board with that. And I think what's remarkable about it is when you kind of look at the emails on balance, he was very much not in favor of a lot of the direction of the league, and yet he got back in. He came back in, and you have to know at that point in 2018, when you've expressed the opinions you express, you feel the way that you feel, you are putting yourself into a precarious situation when you're walking back in 2018. Now, you can never know that these emails are going to come out, but when you say what you say about Roger Goodell, when you say what you say about DeMaurice Smith, the certain tenor of homophobia in some of those emails, we could go on and on. When that stuff comes out, you have a league office that looks at John and goes, "We're going in this direction. You're going another direction. Like you're not with the momentum that we're trying to carry into the next, 10, 20, 30, 50 years." And I think it's pretty clear that the league fragged him on this. Like I don't think there's any question about that. I think the league looked at the Raiders and said, "Here's the material. Take care of this. Do what you got to do." Mark Davis didn't do that. And then I think once it got past Gruden coaching this weekend, I think they were done. It doesn't surprise me at all that this gets leaked to the Wall Street Journal. It doesn't surprise me it gets leaked to the New York Times, because that's where Park Avenue is. And the people who held all of these emails, it was the league office. And I think the league's like, we're not going to sit here, and he's not going to continue to be employed when we know what he's bringing to the table and what he said over the last decade. And this thing's got a lot of layers. It really does. It's pretty remarkable when you just sit down and you break down every single facet of what went into this and how this happened so quickly.
Well, two things moving forward on this, Charles. One, is John Gruden ever hireable again, either in coaching or broadcasting? And two, how many more interesting emails and comments might emerge from this investigation as we move forward, which of course has been totally locked down up until now? Right.
It's, in terms of his hireability, I have no clue. I don't know nowadays. Like there's platforms for everyone, and again, I tried to, when I wrote today, I said, look, this is going to fall into the area that has not only infected sports but also transcended sports over the last 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and that is, it becomes red versus blue, left versus right. There's definitely a political tenor to this, and then not only that, it's the America that people wanted or had versus the America that they live in now and where we're going. And oddly enough, I think these emails, when you look at how people are reacting to this, it feels like there's camps forming, like the same way that there's been camps forming around every single social issue that's cropped up in sports over the last several years. And so to me, when that happens, I mean, let's be real here. He'd have an opportunity. There are certain networks that John Gruden's wants to paint himself as a martyr and a representation of how, I've been ousted in this change that is just so unfair. There are going to be people that would be willing, I think, to let him have that platform. And, that's the free world we live in. So I don't want to say he's never going to have another opportunity to have a job. I don't know about coaching. But from an analyst standpoint or a political standpoint or whatever else he might want to do, I could see that. As far as the investigation itself, I'll say this: Bruce Allen, the general manager / team president of Washington, knew a lot of people in the league. He's connected to a lot of people in the league, and I don't know. I'm just in my mind. I'm like, okay, well, is this just John? Is this John talking to Bruce? There's no one else. And it was clear that Bruce initiated some of these conversations. So I'm like, this is the only guy that he spoke to. I wonder, though, and again, I truly believe the league was behind some of this, if not all of it. I wonder if John having the position of power that he had is different than an area scout or a head of marketing somewhere, or whatever else. So I just, in my mind, I wonder, does the NFL, is this really what this is now? Is there going to be like a hit list? Or is the NFL going to go, okay, here's all these emails, now here's all these individuals, now here we're going to go out and we're going to set out to all these different organizations and go, here's this problematic thing, and now we have to move forward on all this. It's a can of worms. I'll say that. If the NFL opening this up also opens the NFL up to a lot of criticism too, because remember, it came in the midst of an investigation of this Washington franchise that
has had some problems.
I'm sorry?
Has had some problems.
Yeah, it had some problems. And this investigation, remember, Dan Snyder gets fined $10 million. He effectively gets removed from the day-to-day operations of his franchise. And yet there was no real detail about why exactly they came to that conclusion. And in the middle of there being no detail, the league's lawyers go, well, the reports weren't even written. The findings weren't even written. It was all the reports that we got were oral from this investigator, which you're like, why do you do that? Well, you do that so that there's no written record. Why do you not want a written record? Because then there's things like these emails where if the league doesn't act on them and they get out later, it looks like a big cover-up. It is a
what a league!
I'm just telling you, this is like I'm sitting there and I'm staring at this, and it's funny because I'm gonna write something in the future, probably the next couple of days. I think one thing that people should remember here: the league's embroiled in a potential $1 billion lawsuit with the city of St. Louis, okay, over the relocation of the Rams franchise. They are trying so hard to prevent forms of discovery that are similar to what we just saw go down in Washington. Ask yourself why. Probably because they know, hey, we had pretty much control of a lot of the discovery in the Washington situation. We wouldn't in St. Louis. And what if there is something in there that we don't know about? What if there is, who knows what was said in the relocation of that franchise? And, and again, this is a potential $1 billion lawsuit that they're sitting there going, man, this Washington thing started, and there were landmines there we didn't even see. We couldn't even see coming. John Gruden wasn't part of this Washington investigation. This just happened. And so this is why when the league gets embroiled in litigation, you see a lot of settlements. The Colin Kaepernick thing. Hey, there's a settlement. There's NDA signed, and to this day, you've never seen really a shred since that NDA has been signed of the discovery that came out or the interviews. Remember, all these owners sat for depositions in the Kaepernick thing. There's a reason why that is an ironclad NDA, and I'm sure that's because the league's like, nah, we don't need any of this stuff getting out later. We'll just pay for this one and move forward.
Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Charles, obviously the Bills take down the Chiefs on Sunday night. Titans will be taking on the Bills coming up on Monday Night Football. In your mind, are the Bills the best team in the NFL right now?
Yeah, I think they are. I think, when they ran up against the Chiefs, what was intriguing to me is you had the number one offense in the league via DVOA versus the number one defense, the Bills, when you measure DVOA. I mean, which is probably the truest measure of offensive production, defensive production, doing the right thing in the right situation and winning that scenario. You had an offense that did it, you had a defense that did it, and which was going to break. Clearly, the Bills broke the Chiefs. And what I thought was interesting was they controlled them physically. They forced Patrick Mahomes into scenarios where he was making mistakes. When you turn him over, I think through a couple of picks, he had the fumble late. It's really impressive. And then on the flip side of that, I think Josh Allen played a great game. I didn't think that was his best game. I think Josh Allen has Lamar Jackson, like what we saw with Lamar Jackson against the Colts. I think Josh Allen has that kind of ability to flip a switch at some point against a team and to roll up 500 yards in offense by himself. And so, I think the Bills are probably the number one team in football. Just when you look on balance at how potent that offense can be, but then defensively, just absolutely wrecking the Chiefs at this point. It's one thing I do want to say, though. We're still only 5 games into the season. I feel like every week we're kind of like, well, is this the new team? It's like, oh, it's the Rams. Oh, no, it's the Cardinals. Oh, it's the Bills. I think we're going to have a lot of this as we go down the stretch where, it'll be, okay, is it the Chargers now? Oh, by the way, the Cowboys look great. It's such a wide open year this year. I personally expected to have this dominance of the Chiefs come back and they put the offensive line back together. And instead, I feel like it's so completely wide open early on because there are so many really good offenses. And I think there are still some defenses, though, that could completely disassemble the picture as we know it, like Cleveland. I think Cleveland's defense, even though they've gotten to a boat race with the Chargers, I still think Cleveland down the stretch could be that team where they develop the front defensively they need to be effective the way the Buccaneers were last year, or it could be the Chargers, or the Cowboys defense is really good with DeMarcus Lawrence not being there right now. What happens when he comes back? You're going to get the Titans fans. You're going to get a measure here. You're going to find out where exactly can we really compete with a team that, at this point has to be the Super Bowl favorite in the AFC early on, but still they are the favorite at this point, I would say.
Well, I was going to ask you about Lamar Jackson. I mean, in the midst of this bombshell last night, I couldn't go to bed because I couldn't take my eyes off that game, which the Colts completely botched. But, I feel like Lamar Jackson has taken his game to another level. The way he stood in that pocket and hit tight windows and just made every play. I mean, you agree with that? I mean, is he? I mean, I know it's also early. We talk about great teams. Let's talk about the MVP because it was Russ Wilson for sure a year ago, and then it wasn't at all. But right. Lamar Jackson, how good is he?
I think that was the best game I've ever seen out of him in the NFL on the NFL level. I mean, definitely passed 37-43 is absurd. It's a joke, and there was a point in this game where it looked like they might get blown out, and he just, to bring them back the way that he did, to do it both running and passing. But as you said, to make window throws is so impressive. And, I don't know if you saw, as I'm working on the Gruden thing, I'm like, this game's on in the background. I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to do this Gruden. And there's this game going on and I want to watch this. And
thanks a lot, Gruden.
Yeah, really. Thankfully it's DVR'd so I can watch it again, but it was, it was an impressive a passing game, and if that is a representation of who he can be moving forward, and I think a big part of this too was Mark Andrews. I'm telling you, when Lamar has truly been at his peak as a passer, Mark Andrews has been a big part of that, and there have been some struggles to kind of get Mark Andrews to where they believe Mark Andrews is, which is in their minds are like, hey, this guy is a top 3 tight end in the league. He's a George Kittle type. He can be a Kelsey type. Maybe not just from a body standpoint, but in terms of the impact, he could be a Gronk type. And this was a game where he looked like that player. But yeah, I mean, Lamar afterward, to see him talk, and I think he dropped an F-bomb on TV.
He deserved it.
He deserved it. They totally coasted over. Like, I would just keep going. But he felt like he's kind of got that chip on his shoulder where he's like, you know, look, I know I can be this player. I'm paraphrasing here, but it seems to me that he knows he can be this MVP caliber player. And I think he was frustrated too. They went a long time where their wide receivers, no one was healthy in the preseason. There was no chemistry from an offensive standpoint. You know, they were struggling to get to their identity of being like a running team. And when they couldn't do that, could he be the passing quarterback they needed? It's not a great Colts team, honestly. They're struggling, but I think he showed what the possibilities are. To me, it was almost like, not quite from a running standpoint, but you guys can appreciate this. I mean, remember when we used to watch Vince Young at Texas and he would just dominate teams like, you know, USC, Michigan, like some of those big games where you're just like, oh my God, this guy's unbelievable. Like, that's how Lamar Jackson felt last night. I'm like, this guy's like unstoppable. When he plays like this, he's on a level where I don't know that there's really any defense that's going to stop him.
Hey, thanks for bringing up Vince Young, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, you know, we're talking a completely different era there.
Yes, I hear you.
I can tell you some Vince Young Titans stories.
Oh, I bet.
some funny Titans stories.
I think we may have to have a special episode just for that at some point.
We might need to.
Not to go. Literally, in all my years, the only time I think I've ever gone to talk to a guy in a locker room. And got into his locker and stood there and seen so many pictures of himself in his college uniform, like action shots, and like I still to this day I can't ever. I was like, man, this is interesting. He really likes these photos of himself in Texas. It always resonated with me, and I think it was like at that time he's battling like Kerry Collins for the job, and I looked in Kerry Collins' locker, and literally there was like a little 4-inch by 4-inch photo of like his kids. Two different worlds right now.
That's right.
He was good in college.
That's right. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Charles, great stuff, man. Appreciate you taking time to come on with us, and maybe next week we'll just have a Vince Young hour with you.
Yeah, that's we could fill that one up.
Get those old notebooks out.
All right, guys. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll come back. We'll react to what Charles had to say there. Take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
In 2 days.
Now the real work starts, and we want to build on our momentum we have and keep improving every day.
Your exclusive home for every second of the action is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The 2021 Major League Soccer season isn't over yet, Nashville. Are you in? There are just 2 regular season home matches remaining as we make our final push for a playoff spot. Don't miss the action on Wednesday, October 20th at 7:30 p.m. against the Columbus Crew. Or catch the last regular season match of the season on Sunday, November 7th at 2:30 p.m. against New York Red Bulls at Nissan Stadium. Come be a part of the most unique sports experience in Nashville. Tickets are on sale now from just $22 at NashvilleSC.com. Everyone in.
The wait is over. The live event you've been waiting for is here. Zach Brown Band, live. The Comeback Tour, this Sunday night, Bridgestone Arena. The multi-platinum, Grammy Award-winning Zach Brown Band with special guests Devin Dawson and Ashlyn Kraft. Tickets are on sale now at LiveNation.com. Zach Brown Band. Buy tickets at LiveNation.com.
Men, what if I told you that now you're able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMDformen.com.
Winter's a bad time for your furnace to go out, but it's never a bad time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Sail on in to Electronic Express for a boatload of deals during our Columbus Day sales event. Huge savings in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops and tablets, speakers and headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. Discover huge savings during the Columbus Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Can the NFL and the Raiders and the fans be sure that there are not any other racial insensitive remarks by you out there in the atmosphere that could be published by the Washington Journal or any other publication?
All I can say is I'm not a racist. I can't tell you how sick I am. I apologize again to D. Smith, but I feel good about who I am and what I've done my entire life. And I apologize for the insensitive remarks. I had I had no racial intentions with those remarks at all. But yes, they can. I'm not like that at all. But I apologize. I don't want to keep addressing it.
That was John Gruden, I believe yesterday, at his press conference before all the things came out last night in the New York Times that really sent it over the edge. And now John Gruden out as Las Vegas Raiders head coach. Thanks to Charles Robinson for coming on in the last segment and shedding a little bit of light on that situation. By the way, in a few minutes, got Chris Mason, Pred's TV analyst, coming up, so looking forward to that. Joe, it's one of those things where, as Charles pointed out, not only the Gruden situation itself, but as far as the investigation is concerned, you heard him bring up the number, 650,000 emails, roughly, that they're combing through. What else is in those emails, and is there anything else that we could see potentially come out in those emails? That's going to be something to monitor over the next few days.
Well, and is this just, I mean, he used the term hit list. Is it just like the NFL's like, okay, this, I don't care, oh, yeah, this person. Okay, here we go. Draw that out of there because for whatever reason, we don't like this person. Leak this wherever. This stuff happens.
Yeah.
I mean, like, was Bruce Allen on the other end? Like,
Now,
John, those bigoted comments, I completely disagree. I don't know. But, yeah, I imagine there's some more interesting stuff in there. And the entire, I mean, look, we already know. Look at, like, what we know about the Washington football team. Yeah. The cheerleaders just awful, disgusting stuff. And they're, the fact that there's some investigators are like, let's just speak all this stuff and not write anything down ever should probably tell you some of the information they're finding out there. So,
yeah.
It's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. Who would have ever guessed out of this? I mean, I'm sure John Gruden didn't. Out of this investigation of them, just the fact that he happened to email his buddy a decade ago turns into this. But it's also, I mean, those words yesterday, again, he was talking about the D. Smith comment.
Correct.
Which, I mean, frankly, look, you can make the argument. I mean, it is absolutely a racist trope, okay? But you can make the argument that that wasn't your intent, and then it's up to the people around you to believe you're not.
Yeah.
And then the stuff that came out yesterday, there's no defense for it. There's nothing you can say. And, of course, he doesn't have to say anything now because he's just resigned and probably go away for a while.
And one thing I wanted to get to Charles with, but we just didn't really have time, I wonder what happens with his money now. He's still owed a lot of money on that contract. My guess is there's a settlement, but I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see when information comes out on that, what exactly happens with the rest of the contract. I mean, he signed a 10-year, $100 million contract, which we all looked at the time and said, for John Gruden to come coach the NFL, huh? How about that? And here we are. I believe he was still owed $66 million, roughly.
Right. I'm sure he'll get a chunk of it. But it is also, take it away from all this stuff. Wow, what are you doing, Mark Davis? Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, boy. Mark Davis.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there was never any justification for that much faith to be put in John Gruden in the first place, just from a football perspective.
Yes.
So, and again, as I made earlier, the point earlier made on the show, of course, there's a million things that are written. Charles wrote a really good thing, and he sort of said some of it on our segment about what this means to the NFL. But as Marcus Thompson wrote, and I said earlier on the show, the Raiders, I mean, this is probably the most progressive organization in sports history because of Al Davis. I mean, that's really his legacy, not caring at a time when people did care, making a black man a head coach and not playing in Mobile, Alabama because of segregation, and Amy Trask, the first female chief executive in the NFL, Tom Flores. Now they have the first openly gay player. I mean, that's a big part of like the identity of this organization as it's moved around, and you think of the Pirates and the fan, but that's a big part of the legacy. That's his legacy. And so as someone tweeted at me, like, Al Davis would have fired him the day that the first thing came out. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Probably so.
So the fact that he represents them, I mean, any team, doesn't matter. The same outcome, but it's just interesting that this is the organization that he happens to head up.
Don't miss Nashville's best NFL pregame show live from Rock Bottom Brewery this Monday. The NFL pregame show features Jared Stillman, Mark Howard, and former Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders. Join them from 5 to 7 p.m. live at Rock Bottom Brewery on Broadway prior to the Titans taking on the Buffalo Bills. The NFL pregame show brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parman Tractor and Equipment, FreedomTireGuys.com, FanDuel, E2 Roofing, Hillside Medical, Social Furniture, and Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. When we come back, we'll be joined by Preds TV analyst Chris Mason. The season getting underway in 2 days for the Nashville Predators. We'll get hot and heavy into the Preds discussion next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, I'm Matthias Ekholm, and this is Smashville.
Ekholm, his shot, he scores! Matthias Ekholm gets the Predators' third of the night.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
College football is back. Make the most of game day and grab a cold, refreshing Dos Equis lager as you cheer on your favorite team with its light taste and perfectly balanced ingredients. Dos Equis lager won't weigh you down when you're celebrating that touchdown. Pick up a pack wherever you buy beer and not nearly enough snacks. Dos Equis, a proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy a Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
It's not just about being in your community, it's about being your community. Come experience the all-new state-of-the-art Volunteer State Bank, second Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank offers personalized services like banking for professionals, free Kasasa checking, the convenience of mobile banking, and the money you need when you need it. Visit one of our 13 locations or online at ballstatebank.com. Real people, real solutions, right here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
Hey, it's Jared from My Official Sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. NFL Week 6 is here, and FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving everyone a $10 risk-free bet every week, and Thursday night is a great opportunity to give it a try. All you have to do is bet a same-game parlay bet with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. Bucks and Eagles, I think you're going to see both offenses have a big day. Same-game parlay, bet Brady, bet big. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay bet, so lock in your bet today on the FanDuel Sportsbook app and get up to $10 back if your bet doesn't win. New to FanDuel, use the promo code JGM to receive 30-to-1 enhanced odds on the Thursday night matchup. Win $150 on a $5 bet with promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile and web. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Rock Bottom Nashville is Broadway's original brewery, where all brews are brewed on site. Josh Rappaport is Rock Bottom's brewmaster, creating fresh craft beers where peak flavors are always the rule. Grab one of their blockbuster beers to pair with their nachos, pretzel bites, and delicious flatbreads. They even have group catering. They boast one of the best views of downtown Nashville and is a short walk to Titan Stadium. And enjoy happy hour Monday through Friday afternoons from 2 until 6. Rock Bottom Nashville, 111 Broadway.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and Craneworks and Rental Works, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Gary Bettman. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube today and every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Nashville Predators back in action this week. The regular season now 2 days away for the Predators. And to help us talk more about that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend, Preds TV analyst, former Preds goaltender, Chris Mason. See, Mace, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
Oh, what's up, fellas? Good to be back and talking hockey, and we're only a few short days away, so thanks for having me. Looking forward to a great season.
Absolutely. Looking forward to having you every Tuesday at 9:30. And see, Mace, obviously a little bit of a different look for the Predators this year. They've gotten younger. Philip Tomasino, Cody Glass into the mix now, including some young guys on defense. And outwardly, the expectations not as high as they typically have been the last 5-6 years with this group. I'm curious, from a player's point of view, especially veteran guys in that locker room who have been through a lot of things in this league, when you have expectations that are lower on the outside, how do you go about handling that as a locker room? What was kind of your experience in handling that during your playing days?
Well, the one thing I know from the playing days is everybody's expectations doesn't really correlate to the expectations inside the locker room. But I will tell you this, it does really take a lot of pressure. I think we always go back to 2017. I think after that year, they got in as the 8th seed, essentially the 16th seed, and since then, I think the expectations have been just it's Stanley Cup or bust type of thing. And as a player, I think it really, and a team, it puts a lot of maybe unfair expectation on the team, and everything, anything less than that or anytime they struggle, it's you feel that, and I feel that this team over the last few years has really had those expectations externally, but I think it's affected them as well in a negative way, the last little bit. So as a player, you're like, all right, every expert, everybody, this is the time for projections and predictions and all this kind of stuff has Nashville as the 7th in the Central, which is a very tough division. There's a lot of good teams. So as a player, I think you use that as motivation, and you say, all right, well, nobody thinks we're going to do anything, but we're going to surprise a lot of people. And, the way that I know it's just preseason, but, they've looked well. And the guys that, we've talked about ad nauseum, Johansson, Forsberg, Duchesne, they've all come back. They had a great preseason. They look hungry. We talked about at the end of last season with you guys, and you're looking for these guys to come back with a chip on their shoulders, something to prove. They're going to need them to step up because they're going to have to get offense from somewhere. They've lost a lot of guys that provided that last year for them. So, they're a huge part. They're a huge part of the success this team's going to have this season. And so far, I think it's good. And Saros, too, for me, is another massive. He's probably the biggest key to this whole thing. I think we know that. And, new era, I guess, in Nashville with Pekka being gone. And it's going to be his team. And in the past, he's gotten off the slow starts. The team has as well. But I don't think they're going to be able to afford to do that. But, again, Juice had an unbelievable preseason. He looked great. He looked mid-season form in the games. Didn't have easy games to play, especially his last two. Got a ton of rubber, and he looked great. So, to me, the expectations being what they are, I think it's fair. But I think it's a good thing for this team because I just feel this group and the way they play, they thrive on that underdog role. And I think if they all have, that little chip on their shoulder to prove people wrong, I think that's exactly what this team needs, for them to allow them to have some success this season.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, when I think about it, Chris, 2 years ago, going into that season, there was a lot of talk around here and even just around the league, is this the most talented Preds team that they've had? And now 2 years later, like you said, the expectations externally are not high. No doubt, the guys have discussed that and would like to prove that wrong. I feel like that's directly related to two of the guys you mentioned there, Johansson and Duchesne. And I guess, the expectation that their production is going to be about what it has been in the last couple of years. How motivated do you think they are? And do you think that not being protected is one of those things that maybe gave both of them a little extra burst of energy in the offseason to get ready for this season?
Well, I think you throw it all into the pot, and it's all motivation for these guys. They have these are what everybody's saying about them. Look, they all had down years. They know it. They weren't protected. That says something right in itself. I know they know it's a business, and you only to protect so many people, and you're trying to expose contracts. They get that too, but it does sting a little bit when you're left available and you don't get taken. But I think it's everything, for these guys. And Philip Forsberg's a guy too. I think he could just be a star in this league. He's got the potential to, he's got the skill and potential to get 30, 40 goals every single year. And for these guys, and I love John Hines putting them together. He's like, you know what, you guys want to show me, you guys want to prove. We're going to give you every opportunity. Matt Duchesne got shuffled around on a bunch of different lines. It's tough for a player with his skill set to be, change. He's on the wing sometimes. He's center. Now they're going to have the opportunity to play together and put these guys together. It looks like they'll be on the same unit as a power play. And they look really good in the preseason. There's some chemistry there. There's something to like early on here. I know that's always subject to change, but I think you put all those things in the pot, and as a player, you're coming in hungry. And I think when you have that motivation, that internal drive to prove people wrong, I think it's such a valuable thing, and you have to have that in this league. And especially right now, all three of those guys, they're the guys. You talk about Cody Glass and Phil Tomasino. I don't know what that's going to be like. Tomasino is a young player. He had an okay preseason, showed some flashes, but wasn't great in my opinion. Cody Glass came in, had some moments where he looked okay. There's going to be a transition period there. It's never easy, going to a new team. It takes a little bit of time, I think, to get adjusted. But those are guys that, you look and you're replacing a Calle Yarncroke, Victor Arvidsson. You have these holes to fill in your roster. Eric Halla, who had a great finish to the season last year as well. So these are the guys that, look, if they're going to have a chance to make playoffs, you're going to need not only, that top line to make an impact, but you're going to need these guys that they acquired to make impact too. And Philip Tomasino, young guy, but he's been given every opportunity. They said from last year he's going to have a good chance to make the team. It looks like he has at a training camp. But it's a different world in the NHL. So we'll see what his impact is, and I know he'll get better as the year goes on. And I look at another guy is Eli Tolvanen. Looks like they're going to try to play him in a little different position on the power play to start the season, more of a one-time option there. That's a player that could take a big step, in the right direction and be a real impactful guy for this team. And, something that maybe, the outside experts aren't really counting on, but there's just so many unknowns, to what this team is, because there's so many new faces and there's so many different storylines, going into this season of what this team's going to be.
Preds TV analyst Chris Mason on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. See, Mace, one intriguing spot to me is who's going to play next to Ekholm on defense. I think they're going to start with Myers, but Fabro obviously an option there as well. I feel pretty good about Yossi and Carrier, at least to begin the season, but can somebody emerge, whether it's Myers or Fabro, and really establish himself alongside Ekholm? That's obviously a really important spot for this team, and I'm really interested to see how that process goes.
Yeah, that's a great point, Robby. That's a big, you lose a guy, you know what you're going to get with Ryan Ellis. You're going to get solid, defense. The guy plays the game the right way. He's a warrior out there. He contributes offensively. He's a good, all-around defenseman, and that's a big spot. Like, the top four has always been, a major strong point for this team. And now, you're going to have Philip Myers come in. He's a big guy. Again, only preseason. Looked good in preseason, and you're going to have a big, physical pair with Ekholm and Myers to start. But then, Fabro's a guy that I thought, he had a tough start to the season last year. I thought when he came back from, suspension and injury there that he looked really good. I think they want him to be, stronger defensively, be harder in the defensive zone. And I thought he did play with a good edge. But, so far his tenure here it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. Some really good parts, and then some, like any young player getting adjusted to the league. There's been some down parts where he hasn't been, as consistent as they'd like to see. But again, you're a young defenseman. His best years he's coming into those years right now, where he's seen enough of the league. He kind of understands the lay of the land, and he's a player with a lot of upside. If he can get some consistency in his game, they'll have some options there, and Fabro's a guy they can easily move up to play with Eki.
Chris, you mentioned UC Saros' slow starts. I wonder, just because it's just a totally different dynamic, right, for him this year, knowing that it's flat out, as you said, his team, Pekka Rinne has retired. Do you think that might help him start quicker?
I do. I just think there's no question. There's no wondering if I play a couple games, are they going to go to Pekka? It's his team. And I say this all the time on the broadcast. I'll say it privately to anybody when they ask me. I think he's one of the best goaltenders in the National Hockey League. There's no doubt about that. Technically, he's technically the best goalie in the world. And I don't just say that because I work for the Predators. I love goaltending. I analyze these guys right down to every little detail. And the thing with him is there's, I guess, having Pekka here over these years, there's always that security blanket, and you've kind of unseated, the god of the Nashville Predators in Pekka Rinne. And that's not an easy thing to, although that's your career goal, it's still there. You have a lot of respect, and we've talked about their relationship and how close they are, but this is UC's team. He's a leader on this team. He's not young UC Saros anymore. And I think he's really embraced it. And, I've talked to some of the people on the inside. He's really embraced that leadership role and being a veteran guy and really owning that position as the unheralded number one goaltender. So I think for him coming in, the guy works like a beast off the ice too. So he's put in all the work, had a great preseason, and I think he's going to be ready to go. He's got a lot to prove too. And this team is going to need the caliber of goaltending that he had last year. The way that they play, I thought they gave up a ton of shots in preseason, but I thought they defended well. They didn't give up. There wasn't a lot of breakdowns. There wasn't a lot of, grade A opportunities. And when there was, Juice, he looked like he did last year. So that'll be something to keep an eye on early. But I have a lot of confidence in how he'll be to start this season, and I guess we'll see here in a couple days.
Well, see, Mace, we're looking forward to it. As you said, the season beginning here in a couple of days, and also looking forward to you joining us every Tuesday at 9:30. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate you.
All right, fellas. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris Mason, Preds TV analyst, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll come back, react to what C-Mace had to say. They've got some tickets to give away as well. All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
It's football season and Social Furniture has the best lifetime guarantee motion furniture on sale now. Their sofas with recliners are push-button electric and wall-away with all colors to choose from for your comfort. Sectionals from $9.99, recliners from $3.99. Sectionals with chase lounge and all-electric recliners from $19.99. Social Furniture will have you football ready with all furniture that are plus leather, microfiber, and Chanel's. Social Furniture has same-day delivery with no down payments and no interest. Forget the big box store. Support local. Support social.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution, and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Their service and parts team will get your work site up and running in no time. Parman Tractor and Equipment will come to you for service if needed. Visit ParmanTractor.com for more info. Your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and let me tell you about my friends at Curation CBD. If you're like me and have aches and pains all over your body and you've been searching for a solution, well, I've got it. It's Curation CBD. Curation means healing, and that right there says it all. Curation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here from Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Curation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use for athletes and for pets, too. Order yours now at CurationCompany.com. Curation CBD, curated for life.
Angie's List is now Angie, and caring for your home just got easier. Whether you need help with routine maintenance or a dream remodel, Angie makes it easy to see reviews, compare quotes, and connect with top local pros who can get the job done right. Plus, you can see upfront pricing and instantly book hundreds of projects. No phone tag, just the work you need done at a time that works for you. Angie's got your to-do list covered from start to finish. Book your next home project today at Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Chronic pain has a detrimental effect on both the body and mind. Dr. Brandon Tolman at Houston Clinic Orthopedics will diagnose your problem and create the best options for an individualized, ideal treatment plan, utilizing minimally invasive procedures and regenerative medicine. Dr. Tolman is dedicated to providing options to treat pain without the use of drugs or major surgery. Get back to enjoying the things in life that you love to do. Visit tnhouston.com and learn more about Dr. Tolman and to book an appointment online. Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
Jared Stillman.
I cannot believe they picked this guy I've never heard of.
And company.
You're forced to play cap gymnastics, which makes it a little bit more difficult for picking up other guys.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Do you want to win a pair of tickets to see the Doobie Brothers at Bridgestone Arena on October 25th? Well, head on over to YouTube, subscribe to the 102.5 The Game YouTube page, and you'll enter for your chance to see the Doobie Brothers. Once you subscribe, email us at promotions@cromwellmedia.com with your YouTube handle. One winner will be chosen on Monday, October the 18th. And speaking of tickets, we have some tickets to give away to see Nashville SC take on Columbus at Nissan Stadium coming up on Wednesday, October the 20th. Be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a family 4-pack of tickets to see Nashville SC take on Columbus at Nissan Stadium coming up on Wednesday, October the 20th. Going to be fun. Got a lot happening in the sporting world. The Titans in the thick of it. Preds getting started. Playoff push for Nashville SC. Some fun college football out east to watch with the Vols. I continue to say it. October, best sporting month of the year. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I still love March.
I know you do.
Yeah, March is hard to beat, but October has a very strong claim because the college games get better. They're all, you're starting to get into rivalry games and just really good conference games and all the other stuff you mentioned. You got Lane Kiffin coming to Knoxville Saturday. It's going to be exciting.
Adam in Portland he is absolutely convinced on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, that Lane Kiffin is just going to be mercilessly booed on Saturday. I guess repeatedly. Do you think that this is going to be the case?
I'm trying to remember. I think I was there when he was there as OC with Bama one time anyway.
Yeah.
I think. I don't remember anything specific, but that's different. I guess that's different when you're the OC.
Like, there'll probably be some signs or something.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, when do you even have an opportunity to? I guess do they even announce coach by Lane Kiffin? I mean, I know at Nissan it's like, and back into the game, having allowed 3 sacks, 10-1, everybody. But I don't. Lane, and here he is, folks, after abandoning this program 13 years ago.
Gain of 12 yards by Matt Corral. Quarterback draw designed by Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But I guess if they gave him an opportunity, I could see pretty good booing. I mean, I don't expect people to cheer him.
No.
Just because you would like someone to be your coach doesn't mean you cheer him when he's not your coach.
No.
So, but I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe it'll be a raucous house on there.
Oh, I think it'll be quite a scene. I think I'm really looking forward to this.
Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Will from Nashville texting in. Robby, I recognize this is a massive if, but if Duchesne and Johansson play up to their full potential, is this a playoff team? If so, one that can make a run.
Full potential?
If Johansson and Duchesne play up to their full potential.
Oh, yeah.
It's a playoff team.
It's a playoff team. Could make a run. I mean.
Sure, could.
Yeah, like, again, those guys to their full potential, that's pretty good production. I think
now, if those guys are playing to their full potential and your first-round matchup is the Colorado Avalanche, probably not.
Yeah. Yeah, it could end fast. But both of them, I mean, what percent? So you're saying 100%, producing based on what they have to give. I mean, what have they been at?
That's the question, right? Because my follow-up question is, what is their full potential now?
That's fair. I still,
we've seen Duchesne put up 70 points. Is he still a guy that has the full potential to put up 70 points?
I think he could
over
do
the
60.
other side of 30.
Yeah,
he could probably do 60.
Yeah, which would be awfully good.
Yeah, it would.
And I still think when Ryan Johansson comes in the postseason and at times is just the best player on the ice for stretches, I feel like that potential is pretty high.
I feel like it's high too. I've also seen enough of Johansson at this point where, I think he's been a really good player for a long time. There's always, I think he leaves you wanting a little bit more in the regular season.
But this is the question here is full potential.
I know.
Now, what does that look like right now? I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
What
does that mean for Forsberg?
Massive
with those two?
if. Well, yeah. Well, that's a good question too. That means
40?
if he's healthy, then maybe.
Yeah.
See, we can talk ourselves into the you can get.
Look, I don't think
go down the path of the Stanley Cup.
There's a path to the playoffs. Like this idea that they just have no chance to make the playoffs, I don't buy into. Like they can absolutely make the playoffs. Am I going to pick them to make the playoffs? I guess you have to find out later this week. I'll let you know.
There you go.
But there's a path.
Yeah, there's also a path to
be
what people think they're going to be.
Absolutely. That's I think the term C-Mace used was unknown. There's a lot of excitement that comes with that. I think there's also a lot of, this could go really good or this could be really bad. One of the two.
I must say, after our conversation with C-Mace, like he didn't sound super high on like what Tomasino's bringing right out of the gate here.
No, I mean, look, I've not seen much from Glass and Tomasino yet. I think obviously, look, they're kids. I like the potential, but I'm really interested to see how that goes starting on Thursday. So we'll find out. Got a lot to say on that front this week. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow, taking your thoughts all show long tomorrow on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Darren Donica Chase is coming up next. This is ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Your speaker at home is so smart.